Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us as Geraldine Orozco will join us momentarily for the Spiritual You. Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon. And best of all, we have each and every one of you, including Laura Lobbs in the gold medal position. Race fan taking home the silver. Richard Minnick with a nice bronze medal tonight. Hello, Christine Lynn, Robert Lamoth, little Timmy James. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. The Attorney at Large, Michael Morris. Nice to have you here. Road Flare, JSCO, Eternity Eternal. Good to see you all. Hi in the studio, Cosmic Joe, Lee the Bee. Nice to have you all here. Mike Rivers is here. Mike Rivers will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Karen in the Woo Train, Invisible Tracker, Babylon Rose. Nice to have you all here. And there's Mel WD-40 lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want that rigidness. It never feels good. So thank you, Mel, for lubing us on up. Mama Catherine, I love you, my dear. I hope you had a wonderful day. And I'm glad that you're here. Scrolling on down, let's say hello to Deep Buchik. And let's see, who else is here? Millennium, my man. Operation Shutdown. Broken Shadow Feather. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. And moving on, let's say hello to Ethanol. Good to see you. Thomas Rock is here. Thomas Rock will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Skip. Necessary Dialogue, MJ, the lovely and talented Kira. How are you, my dear? I hope you're doing well. Hi there, Hillbilly Herb, and Nikki in Seattle. Good to see you all. Bigfoot Dwarf, purple-haired Pixie Lara, Jay Trueseeker, and Mr. Cowley. Good to have you all here. Thank you for coming on in. Roger Blair, he likes to be called Roger. There he is. And Alien Critter. Nice to have you here. Corey, Android Paranormal, thank you all for coming on in. Kurt M., Gory Tiger, Sierra, nice to have you all here. Al Garay over on Twitch, he did 400 curls in 38 minutes. Yeah, his biceps are jacked for tonight. Walter Kochabinski, good to see you. And who else is here? Scrolling on down. Oob to Joe's Main. You've got aliens. And audio, nice to have you here. And have we done a? No, we haven't. We haven't done that. Audio will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. All right, let's continue on here as we continue on with our roll call. And let's see, who else do we have? Dave Tiger Williams. Thanks for coming on in. Hey, I got my new shirt on. That's right. Friends don't let friends UAP, people. That's right. Bar Madison, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Geraldine Orozco, the spiritual you, will begin here momentarily, but first we are in the middle of roll call on our YouTube side, so please be patient. We'll get to this show here momentarily as we say hello to Bombshell Bomber, and she is early once again. Hard to believe. I know. I'm shocked too. Who else do we got? Contrary One, good to see you. And don't forget, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, including the shirt I am wearing tonight. Friends don't let friends UAP. It's UFOs, people. It's always been UFOs. So we're going to make this happen. And Major Lee, good morning to you in the UK. Thanks for coming on in. Hi there, Frankie B. It is that time of the night where I like to ask each and every one of you to throw those horns up. Why? Because it's time to rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the News Wire, check out our swing as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Jive Charity. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Jive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got an awesome show to kick off 2025 with Geraldine Orozco tonight, the spiritual you, right around the corner. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us to talk a little bit of spooky stories. And then we're going to banter in hour number 3 after Swamp Dweller. Sweet Robbie G from After Hours, our weekend show, will be here, filling in for Jackie Harmon, who is filling in for Robin Haynes. Robin's got strep throat. Jackie's being affected by these horrible, horrible forest fires already in California. So we are ready with Sweet Robbie G tonight. All right. One of my favorite guests, and she's been with us now for, this is going on, I believe, 8 years. Hard to believe. 7, 8 years? Yeah. Geraldine Orozco in 2013 had a paradigm-changing contact experience. After 4 years of trying to suppress her impressions of what had happened, in July 2017, she had her first regression. She reviews many, many accounts of alien abduction, being part of the hybridization program, and much, much more. Her business is Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com, where she now helps people heal their own inner workings, heal their inner self, their spirit, mind, body, soul, and she helps them figure out the high strangeness that's going on in their life. Geraldine Orozco, once again, it is always a pleasure to have you here. You know, after so many years of being here, the first week of every month, I thought you would be sick of me by now, but you're still here. You still keep coming back.
I think the same thing about you. I think you're going to be sick of me, and you're not. It's wonderful to be here. It's such a joy to be here. Happy New Year, Dirty Dilk. How are you? Beautiful artwork. Can't wait to see what you do. And yeah, such a pleasure to be here.
How was your holiday?
It was wonderful. It was fantastic, actually. I got time to spend time with family, and it was just amazing. How about you?
Well, it was really cool. My dad made the trek up here, and I got to spend the time with him. And it was funny. He
Ooh.
left his home at like 5 in the morning to get here for like 10. And I was so proud of my son because I literally said, Grandpa is coming in the morning, and he would really appreciate if we waited until he got here to open Christmas presents. And
Oh,
my son didn't complain once. Didn't
oh,
ask, didn't beg, nothing, including his gift from Santa Claus. He
that's
was
so
just
cute.
waiting for grandpa. He wanted to do everything with grandpa, and I think that little piece right there was just so heartwarming for me. So
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
it it turned out really, really well.
Oh, your son is incredible. So I'm not surprised on that generosity and love. How beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Him and my dad have a pretty special bond. So it's something that even though it was a joy to see, it wasn't surprising, and I don't mean to downplay that,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it was well thought out by him, and I was pretty proud of him, that's for sure.
How beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ring in the new year exciting, or did you stay at home?
I was in a retreat. I actually went to Big Sur and did a meditation retreat. It was just unreal. It was beautiful. It's just what I needed for the end of the year.
Now, when you talk about a retreat, what do you mean by that?
So, well, in this case, I did a silent retreat for 48 hours, 2 days. So I got there, got to my beautiful Ocean View Lodge. Actually, it's a really beautiful place on the side of the ocean in Big Sur. And yeah, it's just meditation from no morning to night. Look at reviewing the year in its totality, looking at what are the things that happened in the year, how to improve, how to better love, how to be in deeper peace and harmony with myself, and really internally resolving that internal turmoil that may have happened during the year at any point. So it was really nice, and connecting with nature, spending a lot of time in nature,
Mhm.
trees, talking to trees. So it was amazing. Yeah.
You know what? I think that is one of the most underestimated powers of Mother Nature is talking to trees.
Yeah, agreed.
Trees respond. A lot of people will not believe that, but if you open up, I remember one time, I even my trees, I've got like 9 trees in my front yard that are like 70, 80 feet tall. It's old growth trees. And every time I see them, I always talk to them about how beautiful they are and how proud I am that they're in my front yard. And you can actually feel the love coming off them. And by God, like I'm not a tree hugger, and I'm pun intended when I say this. I'm not a tree hugger by any means or anything like that. But if you actually take the time to hug a tree
Yeah,
and you tell that tree you love it and how beautiful it is, that tree will actually send you love
yeah,
back and cleanse you. It is
yes,
the most
yes,
amazing feeling.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and some trees have more maternal energy. Some trees have more paternal energy. I mean, I don't know how to explain that, but it's amazing. But it's almost like receiving a hug from your father or from your mother. It's such a deep, deep connection to the earth. It's really beautiful. I totally do the same thing. I'm totally a tree hugger.
Well, you know what? In that sense, I am. I am
Yeah.
a
Yes,
tree
in that sense. I don't know what other sense there is,
like
but
the literal sense. I am a tree hugger. I'm
yeah,
just not a tree hugger,
yeah,
the other term of it all. But that's just the way it is. Well, I'm
sure.
glad you had an amazing, amazing time. And I know you always like a temperature update from here. So right now it's cloudy and clear with let's see here. It's about 28 degrees Fahrenheit. So not too cold. You can still wear a t-shirt outside.
Wow, a t-shirt, 28. That's amazing. Let me tell you what it is here. 55. 55 degrees. So not
Shorts
bad.
weather.
Not bad.
That's shorts weather.
Yeah. And how was your New Year's, by the way? What did you do?
Oh, it was great until this blasphemous beverage called Fireball somehow made its way out of my cupboard onto my counter. It opened on its own. I don't know how it opened.
Uh-huh.
And me and my UFO guy, Tim James, just next thing we knew, we looked down and there were shot glasses open. Or and
I see.
next thing I know, about 8 more of those happened. And next thing I know, I'm playing air guitar to Metallica and Guns N' Roses.
Wow. Okay. So you had fun, huh? You danced around,
Well,
sang.
see, the problem is I drink so rarely that I paid the price for about another day and a half after that. I
Yeah.
just I just don't I'm not a big drinker. I like having fun without drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, at least you had a wonderful time. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we did. The party went at my house till about 3:30, 3:45 in the morning,
Okay.
and, I had to force myself to, go to bed.
Oh, well, that's a blast. That's a
It
blast.
was.
I'm so happy to
It
hear
was
that.
fun. It was totally, totally fun. So, I figured tonight we would kick off the year with talking about some aliens,
Let's do it.
because you are somebody who deals with extraterrestrial contact. You deal with many other wonderful topics regarding ETs and everything that goes along with it. You being a contactee yourself, how do you handle people for the first time come up to you and say, Geraldine, I don't know if it was a nightmare or if I was daydreaming, but something weird happened to me. And now I got these dots on my leg in the shape of a triangle, or I got this scratch on my back or this mark on my shoulder, and I don't know what to do. How do you deal with a situation like that?
Yeah, so my number one step is to help them recall as much as they can. And I usually try to do that with asking key questions. Usually there are things that normally we wouldn't know to ask. What did you do right before bed? How was your day? Did you have any feelings, any sensations happen throughout the day? Anything shifting? And you know, it essentially, as they recover more memory, it tends to help regulate the nervous system because they begin to connect with a little bit more awareness, spatial awareness, timeline awareness of what happened to them. And then we go deeper into understanding the experience deeper. So sometimes when they want to do hypnotherapy and they want to recover the entire experience, it's usually the case. Um, that's when we really get into the details of the experience and try to recover as much memory as we can. And hypnotherapy is a powerful tool for that because we can really get into the subconscious mind and revisit often layers of memories. Because a lot of times there are screen memories. A lot of times we block out memories because we are afraid. And so usually when you go into the subconscious mind, you can kind of help go into those sub layers of memory, which are all recorded in the morphogenetic field. It's recorded in your body. We're bioelectrical beings, and memory is very much a bioelectrical thing. It's an electrical thing. So when we raise the vibrational frequency of the human, through going into a deeper state, into the subconscious mind, they can begin to access more memory. And usually that's what healing is about. You become whole when you're able to gently come back into a regulated state, a calm state, where your body begins to function at its optimum function, and that's where memory is recovered. So usually what happens is that when they're recovering memory, usually it will go through several layers of the information. And a lot of times the original, the superficial memory can be quite traumatizing sometimes because it's new, it's different, we're scared, we don't know what happened. Maybe we've never even heard of aliens before, or consciously connected with them. So it can be very, surprising, very scary. So as we go into the layers, we begin to uncover a little deeper understanding of what was happening. What's your participation? What's your contractual agreement? And usually we begin to discover, our participation and why we're there. And that's usually at the point where we alchemize the fear into a more productive experience. That is something that the human can begin to understand. Okay, I'm a participant of this experience. I'm not just a victim in some ways. And sometimes we do encounter military kind of scenarios and traumatic experiences like that. And the process is the same. We need to come back to love, need to come back to a harmonious internal state in which we can allow ourselves to access the highest truth of the information and the experience that we're having, whether it's interdimensional or terrestrial, any kind of, human trauma as well. We kind of navigate in the same way. So, so I guess the important part is to just try to uncover the layers of understanding so that we can understand as much truth. And when I talk about truth, I'm talking about a non-judgmental, higher perspective of the experiences of our participation. This is really important because contact tends to run in the family. Okay, so we begin to discover, grandpa had it, mom had it, dad had it, great-great-grandma had it, and perhaps down on our ancestral lineage, we've been having contact with especially certain groups, interdimensional groups. So these are usually the memories that begin to become uncovered with hypnotherapy or with these kinds of therapies. And it really helps kind of bring things full circle and understand the patterns that are running in the family.
As you break down somebody who has had first time or what they believe is first time contact, how do you calm their nerves once they realize that this did happen, that this was something that they did experience, that it wasn't imagination, it wasn't dreamland or a nightmare?
The majority of trauma, so to answer this question, we need to understand what happens that causes such a lack of acceptance, because trauma is really the inability to find in our brain filing cabinet a familiar experience that we can apply that would help us believe that we will safely navigate this experience in a way that we are surviving, that we are secure biologically, we're surviving this experience. We're not going to die, essentially. So trauma, it can be anything. It can be a stranger looking at you funny, that all of a sudden you disassociate because you don't know how to respond and how to react to that. You haven't processed it. There isn't enough time. We go into fight, flight, or freeze, right? So, or fawn, we go into these different kinds of states. So essentially, what we're doing is we are reconnecting that disassociation. So come back to your body. You're safe. Come back into a grounded state. As you come deeply into your body, you're in the present moment. It's important to come back to the present moment because from here, you can look at it a little bit more objectively and see what is actually occurring in these experiences. And then from there, we go deeper. So once we begin the basics, which is to ground, to be grounded, to come back to your body, we can begin to understand what emotions did we disassociate with, what impacts or what part of the experience impacted us the most, traumatized us or surprised us or shocked us the most. And from there, we can work a little deeper. The interesting thing that I find in my work is that usually the trigger point that is highlighted during these interdimensional experiences, usually there's a pattern of that trigger point in other areas of the person's life. So, for example, they will have a fear that they will not be safe, or that they are unworthy and maybe victimized by these situations. So oftentimes those tend to be pretty deep subconscious beliefs, and unfortunately they kind of overshadow the experience, the truth of the experiences that we have. They also create filters, very, very strong filters of perception. Oftentimes when we begin to gently reconnect and simply acknowledge those emotions, simply share them and communicate them, there's an incredible catharsis and release, because a lot of the trauma also, in addition to this, is that we feel that we can't share. We're in conflict with our own truth. We're disassociated from what we feel. And then we ourselves feel that we are wrong. We judge ourselves tremendously. And that kind of internal conflict can really literally drive a person mad, essentially. They become disconnected and isolated from others, and as if their truth is not acceptable. And that's usually why these support groups are really helpful. When you can hear other people talk about their experiences and speak openly in a place where you're not judged, there's a profound validation. Validation is extremely important. And it's something that we don't learn as humans to do for ourselves and our society. So it's something that we need to learn, especially when we have these kinds of interdimensional experiences and phenomena. Learn to accept any potential experience that can happen. This is something that builds resilience, and it's something that we need to build, going into this period 9, for example, into this new era. And we also need to be aware that any unknown circumstance, the more resilience we build with those circumstances, the stronger we are psychologically, physically, mentally, and interdimensionally.
Wow. I mean, that sounds so hard. It sounds so difficult to try and find that path, especially considering most people, they're trying to deal with this on their own way further or way longer than before approaching somebody like yourself who has an understanding of this.
It can be. It can be. I think there's a lot of amazing resources, though, nowadays online, a lot of platforms, even social media groups, even social media accounts. I see them on Instagram. A lot of people are very supportive of this kind of experience. And I think we're moving from an old world at this point right now, where what we most majority of the people, and I see these public interviews all the time. People are asked, do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in interdimensional awareness? People and sightings, and most people do. Most people have had at least one experience in their life of some kind of phenomena. And I think that, we are learning the new language of that. I mean, back in even 2013, when I had my experience, you can Google that and you would not find as much resources as you find today. So I think we have really, really changed a lot in that. And I know it can be isolating, but try to find support groups, interdimensional support groups, or credible people that can help hold space and support and speak to and interact with, to have a safe place to share.
Is it safe for experiencers, in your opinion, to join these Facebook groups or these other common groups of experiencers to discuss their matters before they even know what's going on?
That's a good question. I mean, I can't say blanket yes, because I know that there's groups that are really, yeah, I think there's so much information out there. It's hard to control and manage the kind of information that is out there. But ultimately, there will always be massive amounts of information. We're in an information age, and it's getting worse with artificial intelligence. Like, we don't even know what's true anymore. So I think what this time is pushing us to do is to go within and seek the answers internally. And that's what I did. This is what I teach my students to do, and this is what I also do in sessions. My advice is to, allow yourself to feel the emotions that you're feeling, validate yourself for what you've experienced, and come into as much authenticity as possible. And you know, there are plenty of credible therapists out there. I would suggest working with a therapist that has experience with contactees to help you process this. Hopefully, there will be the most clear intention, and without, their own directives or narratives. Hopefully they will be a more neutral place, to guide the healing, and provide a resource for the understanding of the experiences. Um, there are also incredible books. There's a lot of people that have written incredible literature about the topic, about experiences. So definitely check it out, and then of course platforms like you, Dave, where you have wonderful experiencers all the time talking here.
Oh, that's very true. We always have good people talking here. That is very true, including yourself.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
But I mean, it's also about doing your homework. I think that's the key message. Before you decide to go public, before you decide to get into any of these Facebook groups, do your homework. See what they're about. Protect yourself a little bit before you end up, getting too much involved with maybe the wrong people or the wrong type of information. Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You continues. ET contact is the topic. Geraldine's website is geraldineorozco.com. The second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is right around the corner. Stay tuned, everybody. That's a good start.
Yeah, this is a good topic.
Yeah. Let's quickly say hello to Linda and Miss Tessa Marie. And let's see who else has come on in here. Cindy L. Girl, you're gorgeous. I never get that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
Never.
I think a lot of people compliment you.
Oh, yeah.
Dave.
Got a real nice face for radio. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's a tough gig, Filthy. It's a tough gig. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I will be down in San Francisco April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Oh, you're going to be where?
Near your home.
Oh, that's amazing. In the Bay Area?
Goes.
That's great. That's so wonderful. Is it a conference? It's the conference?
Yeah, it's I'm not speaking, I'm emceeing at Geraldine or Lorian's.
Okay, nice. That's wonderful.
Yes. Yes. So I may steal you for a night.
Okay, well, let me know. Let me know. I'll be happy to see you when you come.
I love it. I love it. Of course, I'll give you a text when I get down there.
What date is it again?
April 4, 5, 6.
Oh, April. Okay, so there's still some time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll even have my hair trimmed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The beard though, you can't force me to get rid of the beard.
Ah, so you're growing the beard out again. That's
A
good.
little bit. Not as shaggy as it was, but I'm growing it out just a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looks
It's
great.
just for the winter. I don't feel the wind.
Oh, lucky you. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you wouldn't have liked it out here earlier today. That wind was horrible.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a busy April and May are busy. So I'm in San Francisco for UFO Con, 4, 5, and 6, and then the final weekend of April, I'm in Nebraska for their Bigfoot conference.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, hi Spacey Tree, how you doing? And then come home for 3 days and then off to Vegas for just a party, to be honest.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you have a busy traveling summer this time.
Oh, it's just a busy spring, and then I shut myself down. I have a big project I'm starting in May.
Oh, really? What are you doing? Confidential?
No, I've talked about it. I have a piece of area in the forest here, Geraldine, where it's probably the size of a football field,
Oh, wow.
and there's a lot of ghosts there, a lot of Bigfoot there, and UFOs and aliens there.
Wow, that's amazing. Are you going to try to document like last time?
I figure my project's going to be about 2-3 years.
Wow, amazing. That's exciting.
It, I'll be honest with you, I'm scared as hell.
I know. You told me last time you were not very excited
Yeah,
to go there.
yeah. So um, I do plan on being very cautious there and taking precautions and being safe. So I just got to start collecting some gear that I will need for that area because I know this is going to be a 2 to 3 year project.
Wow, you got a lot to do. But you got to
Yeah.
talk to your trees. That's what the trees are there for. The trees are going to help you and
Well,
protect you.
put it this way, um, you don't hear birds in the area.
Yeah, it's
How
probably
weird is
like a portal, like a portal
how
area.
weird is that? You don't hear birds.
Mm.
Hold on right there. We got 10 seconds. Thank you to Major Lead Times 2, Boo the Beagle, Deborah Rooney, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love. Here we go with the next half hour. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Geraldine Orozco is our guest. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host. And together we're going to bring you some really awesome radio momentarily. But first, want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Geraldine Orozco is our guest. She comes in monthly for the Spiritual You. I think she's been doing this about 7 years now. 8 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be the 8th year.
Mhm.
That's pretty awesome. That's a good run we've had, buddy.
That's amazing. It is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty proud of it. I really
It's
am.
amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. What a joy it's been.
How many people have you helped in first contact?
Oh, I don't know if I could really put a number on that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've worked with such large groups at this point in conferences and, private groups and retreats. How many did I actually help? I don't know. I hope so. I hope at least a couple. But I've worked with many. I've worked with many. And yeah, I think the most transformational work is when we start doing like deep shadow work with my contactees. That's when we really get somewhere. If it's like a hypnotherapy, we can get some incredible answers and information that really brings not only a reconnection to their higher self, but a really deep internal peace. And that is priceless. That's priceless because that permeates into every part of their life. And I've had clients that have transformed their life as a result of just a session from contact, like even not even just a whole vivid vision. Like I woke up, with I was on the end of my bed and I couldn't remember, and I had a flash of a dream, an experience. It's all in the dream state, so it's a flash of a memory. And from there, their entire life changes. So I think that as we enter into this interdimensional era, because in period 9, this is 2025, it equals number 9. Number 9 is the end of the cycle, of the numerical cycle. This is the end of these cycles. And then next year is the first year of this period 9. And this is where we're going to start really changing things. And we are changing into a multidimensional human race. more people are having contact, more people are going to have visions, more people are going to be aware of the topics. It's inevitable. As you know, it's already been, I mean, there's been already plenty of disclosure for people to understand. But I do believe that there will be more visions, there will be more sightings, there will be, and those sightings will probably be used a lot in order to disclose a lot of new technology that's going to be being pushed into our world. And so that we need to keep our discernment very, very keen at this time. But the importance is that we have to train intuition and multidimensional faculties. That's number one priority for everyone that is having at least some kind of contact. Because this is going to be the new world. It's the new language, communication, frequency, energy, telepathic communication, the ability to remote view. These should be basic things that we should all know. And hopefully we are going to be learning that soon.
What do you think the biggest message is that we should be getting right now in preparation for any sort of contact? Because if you go and look at the public side of things, you have the threat narrative that all aliens are bad, they're demonic, they're coming to eat you, they're coming to enslave humanity, rip us off this planet. And then you got the other side that says they're very peaceful, they're very loving, they're very nurturing and caring and want to bring us spiritual enlightenment and eternal life and almost godly. I mean, that's a big discretion between the two if you look at the public side of this argument.
Well, there's no separation. I mean, we are in a dualistic construct. The nature of this matrix, if you will, or this holographic construct in which we exist in, we are energy beings. We are multidimensional beings. Only 1 to 2% of our physical body is really the whole of what we are. So, we are very multidimensional, and we are somehow co-creating this human experience. And we need to really understand those kinds of universal laws and basic physics of this construct if we want to comprehend and integrate what's really happening here for humanity, as we uncover what we really are. So this dualistic nature, there's always going to be light and dark, quote unquote good, quote unquote bad, this kind of dualism. And so really the human experience and all of these interdimensional unknowns, just like our human life experience, we uncover many unknown circumstances in the interdimensional realms, which, remember, takes up half of your life. Half of your life you spend in dream state. Okay, half of the life you're sleeping, half of the life you are in dream state. Nobody doesn't go anywhere in dream state. Everyone is traveling in some dimensional layer, whether they are aware of it, whether they remember it or not. We are all navigating, leaving the body at night when we sleep. Even if you sleep for 2 hours, you are somehow navigating some dimensional planes. So we are multidimensional, and that cannot be hidden. It cannot be denied. So that being said, looking at what's important is for us to understand that whatever we encounter in these unknown circumstances that are natural for the human experience, how do we navigate that? The human has to learn how to regulate themselves in any unknown circumstance, because that's where we're coming from. The nature of this construct is constant change. If we resist change, if we're afraid of change, if we deny change, we're going to suffer. We are all going to suffer in different ways. And we also suffer in our experiences and in our healing in that way. So if you are encountering good beings, great. You should also encounter negative, and you will. Understand you will encounter both, because this goes into a deeper, conversation, but we are projecting everything that we are in our subconscious mind into this reality. The people we meet, the people we marry, the people we interact with, the people we work with are all projections, and we are interacting with each other through resonance. So we are matching our experiences with one another. We complement each other's experiences. And we are also, highly magnetized together in groups based on our frequency It's the same interdimensionally. So the fact that you can create your reality, in a sense, that you can choose, you can absolutely choose how you're going to experience what you're experiencing, is 100% physically, emotionally, bioelectrically, biochemically a fact. And that's something that we need to understand as we move into a very um, volatile time for humanity, because things are going to be changing. We're going to feel like we don't have control over a lot of things. And we need to somehow surrender to that in order to really root into a new system that is conducive of a harmonious human race, moving out of what we have been in, which is looking at everything black and white, and from mishandled control systems. That has to change. So people have to move out of their comfort zones for that.
The comfort zone is very difficult to get out of for many of us because that inner self is very protective. It's the rock that protects us, the rock wall that surrounds us. How do we break that down to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and accept the experience?
I think we need to see ourselves as more than physical, and because that's the key, and that's the truth. If you see your body under a microscope, you are more empty space than you are actual physical mass. There is no solid object anywhere in this room, in your room, in all the rooms of the listeners. There is no actual solid object. If we begin to shift our perception into that understanding, begin to see ourselves, begin to see other, begin to see nature, and the things that are happening around us from this perspective, it helps, because it helps you kind of shift your perception about what is happening. Secondly, because we understand that we are not the physical, well, what can we control in that case? Well, you can control everything that you say that you are. Regardless of what is happening outside, if it's a traumatic experience, a very terrifying experience, you can regulate your system. And the amazing thing about regulating the body, what happens biologically, literally our DNA, when we're under stress, it begins to coil up, it shrinks up, it nods up into these little masses. This is scientifically proven. The Heart Math Institute did an amazing study on this. And when they studied people that were calm and were meditators or practicing state of calm, they discovered that the DNA actually expands, elongates itself, and can express itself more fully. What does that mean? It means a really strong immune system. It means regulated nervous system. It means a balanced chemical response to the things that you're having and you're experiencing. So, that's a really huge thing to control. And in this day and age, I mean, even just today, I was meditating and I was feeling myself that when there's a lot of stress around, my body tenses up. I don't even know that I'm tensing up my body, but I'm under stress. So letting that go, layer after layer, to come into my authentic state, regardless what that is really hard. We fight that back really hard. So we have to train ourselves, and that's why taking time for yourself to kind of connect with what you're really feeling, what's happening in your body, and begin to deprogram stress states as your baseline and stress states as a comfort zone, right? That's what we need to break through. We need to break through this idea and this program that being stressed and being in a constant state of survival is actually the norm. It's not the norm. That's a disharmonious state for our bodies, and that's why where we are today. We eat bad things because we're stressed out. We cause inflammation. The body goes out of balance, and then chemically, psychologically, we're completely out of balance as well. So we need to understand, and interdimensional experiences actually are very directly connected to that. And that's something that I found out in my research working with experiencers, that when experiencers have a lot of trauma, unresolved trauma, the experiences are also traumatic, very traumatic. When experiencers begin to integrate, because it's a mirror, this universe is a mirror. We're fractals of experiences. So if we begin to address those traumatic experiences and alchemize them, our experiences and the things that we begin to share in this world also change. So that those are really, really powerful things that really change our life experiences.
When you mention that about the stress and how that impacts, you were just talking about it. I had a stressful day today. I could barely move my neck. I am so stressed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Stress block or evade contact.
Mm. So you, because of the stress, you feel like you're blocking it out?
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
like right now I can barely move my neck. I'm
Okay.
so
Well,
sore and tight.
yeah, that's really, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, the beauty of our body that fascinates me so much in my work is that every single part of our body is, the cells in that part of the body are oscillating at a certain vibrational frequency. That vibrational frequency translates to a sound, translates to a color, and translates to different archetypal, psychological, subconscious belief systems. And so, for example, in the shoulders, oftentimes when we have a lot of tension in the shoulders, really it means we are holding on to a lot of responsibility, especially financially or, in some area like that. So, just as an example, every single part of the body can tell us immediately the kinds of things that we are battling with. And this is intuitive. It's the intuitive language of the body. It's biophysical, and it's something that we have been studying for centuries, since the origin of time, since Chinese medicine, and before that, we have been studying the body and how it stores information, especially thought forms. So when
Right.
we don't, yeah, when we don't process like certain thought forms properly, we store them and they crystallize in the body. So, how do you alchemize that? If you sit with the pain and you speak to the pain as if if you were to describe the pain as an emotion and you would identify what emotion is there in the neck, you can begin to uncover and relieve the pressure psychologically, energetically, that you are holding in that part of the body. So, there's a lot of really powerful tools to work with the body, and the body is, it's very intelligent. It's a somatic intelligence that we need to learn.
That intelligence that we need to learn. Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it telepathic from the beings themselves?
Well, this intelligence is encoded in us. It's in the architecture. Yeah, it's encoded in our DNA. DNA is also a frequency, and that DNA is coiled massive amounts of information, again, that are both producing the proteins of the physical body. That's 1 to 2%, and the rest, which we call junk DNA, is part of the morphogenetic field. It's providing all millions, billions of networks of energy points, primarily run. It's like a membrane. It seems invisible to us, but it's a membrane that allows this bioelectrical charge of the body to intercommunicate with our space time surrounding and environment. So everything that we're like sponges. We are picking up everything from around us every moment of our day, and as we absorb that information, the more unconscious we are, the more disconnected we are from our entire self, the less we have control or even free will over what we're experiencing. So the more we actually become aware of ourselves and take a moment to pause and understand that, we are this whole system, front and back, it's really important. You'll notice that when you broaden your perception, your emotional state changes. That's really huge. And it might seem insignificant, but you can pull yourself out of a state of panic attack, for example, or disconnect or distress or illness. You can begin to move the energy. You are energy beings. So yeah, this is interesting. And just to add one more thing in terms of contact, a lot of the energy medicine that experiencers have experienced interdimensionally in their dream states, in these contact experiences, it is all about this energy medicine. These things that I'm sharing with you, these are things that have been taught to me by these beings when I first met them, and the downloads that they would give me. And then later on, by connecting to the Akashic records, which is, your seventh chakra. Your seventh chakra connects to the DNA of the earth. It's the record history, your ancestral lineage. It's humans history. We have all of these codes and understanding, the blueprint of what we are and how we function. That's encoded in us, and it's available to every single human. It's available to you when you meditate and connect with your body.
In order to build contact and the comfort in that, how do we choose, or can we choose, the species that we want to interact with, or is it already predetermined?
That's a really interesting question. And what I discover from my research, the work that I have done with my contactees, and what I have downloaded and seen is this. It seems like in our DNA, we have encoded through this morphogenetic field and through all this, the DNA and the history of what we are, our ancestral lineage, the DNA of the earth. We have encoded our ancestral lineage from which we descend. Ancestry is not just, the biology, and it's not just what the information that's in the biology. Ancestry is also a historic timeline of our many layers of incarnation that we have taken on this planet and in the entire system, which it consists of many universes. In addition to that, because time is not linear, we are co-experiencing these many universes simultaneously. So it looks like actually we are interacting with fractals of ourselves simultaneously. And based on our vibrational frequency that was called forth at the time of conception into your bloodline, your family ancestral lineage, that's a frequency. DNA is a frequency. So your family lineage seems to have been connected to, or let's see, has recovered the memory of maybe certain lineages and bloodlines that they have interacted with for many generations. So on this earth, we are all hybridized. We are descendants of certain races, but we have a very long history that is not linear again. So what we remember, so for example, if you're deeply aligned and connected with Arcturian races, for example, or Pleiadian races, it means that most recent generations are learning how to alchemize the vibrational frequency, the archetypal frequency of this Pleiadian bloodline. Every single species has certain archetypal traits, just like we have 13 main constellations, 13 main archetypes, 13 bodies that make up this physical body and are navigating this dimensional plane. We are also connected through our organs and through our body to the different planetary systems. And we have encoded in our DNA our illnesses, our karma, our cycles of life, the kind of life experiences that we're having based on this interstellar starseed lineage history that we hold. Because a lot of times ancestral bloodlines are learning how to heal with these alternate races, these species that we are co-hybrid with. And we become co-hybrid with them because we are healing similar lessons, similar programs, and they also become traits, gifts, activities, healing abilities that are descended down. Also, a lot of these bloodlines that have like very, very prominent Pleiadian bloodline, they have really, really amazing gifts. They're extremely artistic, extremely intuitive. There are many, certain lineages and family experiences. So their intuitive abilities are more accessible to them. And that's what I think it was Dolores Cannon that talked about the waves of children. So every generation of these waves of children are kind of holding the higher octave of these hybridized lineages. So to answer your question, I believe that we are experiencing the projection of what is in our DNA, that we are learning how to alchemize, how to heal, how to recover that memory. The sign of ascension is that you recover your memory. You remember who you are in this lifetime and in other lifetimes. And that's where contact plays a major role, because your contact is your alternate aspects of yourself. You're interacting with these aspects of yourself, these families that are part of you. That's what I
Love
see.
it. I swear you know my timer when it's time to go to commercial, because literally there's like 8 seconds. You stopped with 8 seconds before we got to go to break. Geraldine Orozco with the Spiritual You, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We'll be right back with our This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear.
Awesome.
Hi, Michael Gutierrez. How are you? All right, we're going to take about a 5.5 minute break here. We're going to turn things over to Dirty Filth, the dirty one who has whiskey working his camera right now. Is that whiskey?
Oh, good. That's Gargoyle. He's out of control. They're always out of control. They're cats. Look at him.
That's terrible. What's he doing?
I don't know. Who knows?
Guy's nothing but trouble.
He is. He's just. It's all right. I still love him anyways. Hello, everybody. I hope your evening is going well. Mine's fine, except for this guy's being a big jerk. Aren't you, buddy boy? Yeah, you big meathead. Mr. Gargoyle. He's my shadow. Aren't you? You big dork. Yeah, Sandra, he's not getting the orb, unfortunately. Skip, Blob is downstairs, sitting over the heat register. Yeah, there he is, causing trouble. So yes, I got this idea for an emotional support orb. Hello, buddy. Yes, I love you too, mister. For my friend. He's rubbing up against the microphone here. Hi. It's out of control. Originally, the idea was for a emotional support demon of Slanish. I'm not sure. I think it's like a Warhammer reference of some sort. Tess Marie, I'll let you in on a little secret. Blob's real name is Lyran. But we called her Blob because she used to be a giant blob of a cat. But the place we moved into, she's got more space to move around in, so. Yes, lazy Lyran. That's actually a good idea, Marty. Just sell balloons and call them emotional support orbs. Hey. That's what I should do with the art walk next year. Buy a thing of helium and make emotional support orbs. I got a better plan for the art walk this year coming up. I'm going to purchase a larger plot so I don't have to fight with the sun. I'm a pretty fair-skinned guy. I got nuked. My flesh was peeling off of me last summer, sitting right in the sun. I originally thought I was going to be I originally thought I was in the shade, but I wasn't, so that's all right. It was kind of windy too. One of my pictures broke. The frame didn't break, the glass broke on it. That's all right. The art walk's cool. It was the largest art walk they've had in Edmonton last year. I think they had over 400 artists. You coming down, mister? No, you're just going to be a jerk. Just doing cat things. It's like, hey, here's a drawing. I'll just put my cat grease on it. Hey, buddy boy. You got crud in your eyeball, mister. There you go. But yeah, it's yes. Yeah, non-art art is it's always the best. I like getting my hands dirty. I might have to hear about the cat who swallowed a ball of yarn. A litter of mittens. Oh! Yeah. Why don't you say something, Mr. Gargoyle? I'll be like, hello, I'm a cat. Yeah, he's this. When we got this guy and his brother, the orange cat, the gremlin, I seen pictures of them and I seen this guy and immediately thought, yeah, he's going to be my pal. And then look at how dirty you are, mister. And the second I got home, he jumped off the couch and came over to me and jumped up, and we've been buddies ever since. He's a big pest. Picks on all the other cats in the neighborhood. Look at his cat dandruff on him. Boy, you're making me look like a neglectful cat owner, mister. Oh boy, Dave's got 30 seconds to come back. And then it's snack time, buddy boy. Look at this guy. I'm a cat. Ugh. I'll just beat him up for a little bit. I know. Usually Blob cleans him. That's why he's a stinky cat, because Blob cleans him. I'm going to go give the cat snacks, Dave.
All right, buddy. Thank you. And thank you to our gargoyle in camera here.
Yeah, he's a jerk. Have a good night, everybody.
Dirty Filth and Gargoyle, everybody. Hi, Geraldine.
Hi.
All right. Let's say hello to Vanessa. And let's make sure, please put your questions in capital letters. Flippy number 2, welcome to SOR chat. It's easier for me to read. That's for sure. And thank you tonight to Richard, Lee ×2, Deborah Rooney, and Boo the Beagle for the great super chats. Really appreciate the love and support. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We're interviewing Geraldine Orozco on the Spiritual You tonight. We'll get to Geraldine momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features. Walk out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Osvogel. Osvogel is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Each and every month, our good friend Geraldine Orozco, for almost 8 years now, has joined us for the Spiritual You, where we talk about all things from spirituality, consciousness, to ET contact, which is what we are going to continue talking about tonight. And Geraldine's website is geraldineorozco.com. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much.
Not a problem. We love having you here. We really do.
I love being here.
Well, that's good, because you're kind of stuck with us. You know, we're like that dry skin you can't pull off. You're trying, you just can't do it.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah. Before we get to some audience questions here, when it comes to contact and the ET way of doing things, obviously they don't work on a linear timeline like we do. Okay, their days may be weeks for us, maybe hours, vice versa. How do we know how long we've been gone? How long do we know that we've been taken? Like, it might seem like an hour, but could we be gone for 3 days in that 1 hour?
Yeah. Yes. And I actually was just working with a client that had this exact question. I think it was Monday. What day is it today? I think it was last Friday. Um, but you know, what's interesting is that um, we're in the third dimension, so things operate slower. Okay, third dimension, things are slower. They're speeding up because everything is ascending. So when everything ascends, all dimensions are ascending in their octave. That means the vibrational frequency of the total construct is moving to a higher octave. So that means every particle, every cell, every human, every body, every planet is also shifting to a higher octave. And you know, these are very, very subtle shifts, and yet, uh, you know, they are impactful on every organic system in this construct, and non-organic too. So that being said, because we're in the third dimensional plane, we oscillate at a specific vibrational frequency. When you start moving up to higher dimensions, they're moving faster. So their oscillation, the wavelength, the way that light travels, the way that sound travels, it's different. It's a different rate. It's faster. It's much faster. So that means that the way that time is measured in that space is very different. Most higher dimensional species and races and civilizations, they function on instant manifestation. Which means as soon as they think of something, it comes into reality, and they can direct that reality. They can move that construct. They can direct the matter in that space more easily. So the higher the octave and the higher the dimensional plane that a being comes from and interacts with you, the more it will be instant manifestation, telepathic communication, and then the higher up, less form it will take. The more density the form has, the more lower the vibrational frequency of the being. And but that being said, that's on an organic level. I mean, on a superficial level, we can see all kinds of projections of any kind. They can present themselves as anything. They can change their bodies. There's many even shape shifters in the universe. But to answer the question in terms of how can we measure time, you know, things are happening much faster. And we know this in our own physics as well. If we were to travel, you know, from another planetary system to our planetary system, moving through the Van Halen belt, I mean, you know, we have, it's a major time disruption. So the way that it actually functions is through wormholes. We travel through portals and wormholes. So it's instantaneously moving through the shifting of the vibrational frequency from of one form of matter into a higher octave that we actually travel. So time and space is not the same. Um, if and that's usually why when contactees have experiences, they really feel like they were gone for days. I mean, in my experience alone, and this is not a very unique one, you know, being taken to the Pleiades, I left at 3:33 in the morning. I came back at 6:15. 6:15, I was upside down in my bed, woke up, opened my eyes, grabbed my phone and saw the time, 6:15. And I was taken to the Pleiades. I saw, and in the Pleiades, I saw two different timelines, two lifetimes of myself simultaneously. Okay, so again, time does not is not the same. And then I was shown the universe. I was shown the construct of the matrix. You know, how can you see all of that introduced to my hybrid children in those 3 hours? You know, maybe less than 3 hours. So this is a very common part of the phenomena. And it's also the same, by the way, with the hybridization program, which is really interesting. The gestation process of the hybridization program is set up. It's sped up. The gestation of the zygote is sped up as well. That's another very interesting element. So again, we are interacting and navigating interdimensional realms in which the way that we measure time is completely different. And that's something that this time-space continuing, and that's why in more advanced physics, you know, you cannot, you know, time is like an illusion. That's why they say time doesn't even exist, because you can't possibly measure it at that level. So that's the best way I can explain it. You How can you know? You have to intuitively allow your mind to bend. Usually what happens when people have these experiences, they activate higher faculties as well, because in order to process those dimensions, you have to be processing some level of DMT, not some level, but absolute levels of DMT naturally in your brain, in order to be able to navigate that. Your brainwave state changes into a higher brainwave state as well. So there's a lot of like physiological changes, biological changes that are happening in the body when you are having these interdimensional events. So marks in the body usually end up healed completely. If there are like surgeries or some kind of procedures done in the body, most contactees end up with scars, right? From one day to the next. How do you end up with a scar from one day to the next in your body? So it just completely healed. So that is another example of how time and space is not the same in these experiences.
With time being of a fractal moment for them, do they even understand our timeline? Do they understand what we go through in order to try and make this, work, or to understand it? Because I think for people, when we go, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself here, but when I've been taken, there's usually residual problems that happen in the morning, whether I'm cold, whether I'm emotional, whether I'm
Yeah.
sore, you know, how do we decipher what truly happened to us if they block that from us?
Well, in my experience, actually, we block it from us because the way that we function psychologically and also in terms of frequency, this matter would literally dissolve if it was processed in those dimensions, right? Just like how we look at the UAPs moving and they say no human could navigate those UAPs because they would just explode in there because of the G force, right? So we need to understand that it's the same in these experiences. So our body, because it shifted from one dimension to another, again, we are using DMT. So I didn't get into the explanation of that, but these chemicals that we produce in the body when we are out of body experiences in astral projection or when we are navigating these dimensions, it changes biochemically to allow the integration of these interdimensional experiences in the physical body. Okay, so we are linked, we are never disconnected from the body, we are one when we're experiencing these things. So the body will definitely take the side effects of that shift in frequency, and it's a really heavy frequency change for the body. That's why usually people end up with activated abilities, psychic abilities, telepathic abilities, remote viewing abilities. You know, they and that's also at the same time why people that have those abilities can recall these memories more clearly. So the brain will block these memories to preserve itself, to self-preserve itself from the impact of this new dimensional experience that, again, it's going to be a trauma for the body because the body is not able to integrate that. This is why practicing meditation, growing gray matter in your brain through meditation in order to activate conductivity in your body is essential for multidimensional experience and for the health of multidimensional experience. Because from that perspective, you create a resilient body that is able to move multidimensionally in a way that is not going to affect your health. A lot of what happens that people end up getting sick is that they drop so severely in frequency that it creates a crash in the body. Okay, so people end up with illnesses, end up with sickness, and it's happened to me as well. You're going into a high dimensional plane, you get terrified, you get scared. When you're going up there, you're at a high vibration. Okay, everything's great. You're at some level where you are able to navigate that dimension consciously. But the moment you wake up consciousness and you remember or you realize what's happening and then you're disconnected from yourself, you drop severely. And so that drop in frequency, that's something that ET beings and interdimensional beings, they also help mitigate that. In my experience, they removed the fear out of my body. And I hear this all the time. The emotional state will pollute energetically the frequency. It will no longer be in resonance. Remember, it's in resonance. You're there because you're in resonance with that dimension. in that dimensional landscape. So the moment that you drop in frequency, you will not be able to interact in that way. It's also whether you have free will in that experience or not. Because if you are in a place of terror, you are more easier to manipulate in these dimensions, especially if it's parasitic beings that are interacting with you. It's easier to manipulate. So that's why I'm a very strong advocate of practicing lucidity in your dream state, so that when you have these experiences, you're also meditating, you have nice gray matter in your brain, down your spine, you are learning how to alchemize life force, practicing Qigong exercises, working with your energy, so that you learn how to have a higher conductivity rate. What's conductivity? Higher vibrational frequency. Okay, so higher vibrational emotional state, regulated nervous system, integrated traumas. That allows you to create resilient organism that can help you overcome and specifically have free will in these experiences. That's the most important thing. And also it'll help you recover the memory. The power of recovering memory is that people that recover their memory usually won't have trauma. That's why hypnotherapy is so healing. When we recover the memory of what happened, it's like, oh, I see. I didn't really have to be afraid. I understand what was happening. I understand what, even if it's foreign and weird, the body can integrate, process that experience a lot better.
All right. So my next question to you regarding this, before we get to audience questions, would be to define what you mean about being taken and having the understanding that you know it's happening, but you have no control due to free will. Okay, because everybody defines free will as I get to make my decisions the way I want to. But in this case, it's not that way.
Seemingly it's not that way. It's just that we don't understand the laws of experiential agreements. We agree to have experiences based on our frequency, not just what you're feeling superficially. Your deep subconscious beliefs are the seeds that will define the kind of experience that you have, both in your waking everyday life with your family, friends, ancestors, and what you're going to have interdimensionally. So the human that learns how to come into the 0 point, which is non-judgmental state of absolute presence in the present moment, physically, is the only time that they can actually choose their experience. This is true biochemically. If it's true biochemically, it's true in your DNA, and it's true in your human projection and your interdimensional projection as well, because all of those are deeply connected. So if you know how to regulate your nervous system and you can immediately drop into a state of calm and observation, now you can choose. That's the only time you have free will. So that lucidity, that's something we need to train in ourselves. And it's something that we cultivate through meditation, through observation practices. And so that being said, as you clean up and bring yourself more into the present moment, your vibrational frequency changes, and the effect of your quote unquote past also changes, your karma, as they call it, right? Your ancestral history. Humans that are incarnating here on Earth are learning how to alchemize and clean up ancestral lineage choices. We are ending cyclical patterns of trauma in the physical and the interdimensional realm. That's why ET contact also runs in the family. If we have a lot of ancestral Draco lineage, and we have a lot of like sexual abuse, trauma, military abduction experiences, and in this lifetime we learn to alchemize that parts of us, we end the pattern, and we can end those contractual agreements with those experiences. We can alchemize them. We expand our energy in that direction. That will allow us to choose our next experience interdimensionally as well. So it's very much a frequency game. I mean, you can call it a game in a sense, because essentially the more you work with your energy, the more you have the free will to choose what you're experiencing. And training lucidity and dream state is something that all ancient cultures have done. They called it learn how to dream walk, learn how to be conscious at the time of death. That's what we're doing. And that's what these experiences are all about. What you're doing in your experience is what you're doing in dream state every night. And it's what you're going to be doing when you die, essentially leave the physical body and go into another dimension. You're going to be choosing what you're going to be experiencing in that way. So we have as we wake up consciousness, we become aware of the karmic agreements that we have with all of these races and species, because our experiences we're having with the races and species in our DNA history. We have a lot of karma. We have a lot of alternate, simultaneous lives that we're not aware of until we wake up consciousness. That's why the Buddha talked about when you remember yourself in the womb, you're taking the first step. The true ascension is when you remember all of your past lives. And that means that you're aware. And that awareness of your past lives in that context is your lucidity and your application of your free will in your interdimensional experiences with the ETs, with the beings that you're interacting with right now.
So basically, our free will when it comes to them is bogus.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. The opposite. The opposite, actually. We participate. So we already have agreements to do what we're doing with them. When we wake up consciousness, usually we wake up in the middle of the event, but we don't remember what led us into that experience to begin with. We've already been connected with those lineages for centuries in our bloodline. Grandma had the experience with the ET before us. Okay, so we're just waking up consciousness. We're just realizing something that is already existing. You wake up consciousness in the middle of these experiences in order to alchemize them and to become free will at that moment. So if you, in that moment, if you become aware of what you're doing and what they're doing, what you're doing with them, you can choose how to continue moving forward in those interactions. That's the alchemist, and what a lot of these, sages have always talked so much about. And that's what we do now.
All right. With 3 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight. We're going to get to audience questions when we return after the break. The communication then in that free will, does it happen at birth? Does it happen on a soul level? Does it happen while we are conscious in our lifetime, like right now?
Communication in terms of the beings communicating with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happens when we are aligned in frequency? And it's not that it happens, but rather that we are like radio stations. We function like radio stations. We are in constant communication with everything all the time. We're in communication with the trees, plants, beings, entities, ghosts, dead, deceased bodies, entities, angels, aliens, all existing in our environment all the time. When we change our vibrational frequency and we tune into the dial or the radio station of an ET or a being, that's when you are in communication. So this is why we can change our frequency. This is why we do have some free will in that case. There is a construct that's designed based on our ancestral lineage, but within that construct, we get to navigate what we want to experience. And in my experience working with people, the higher octave they raise their frequency, the higher the experiences they begin to have. It's like light beings. And essentially, we connect with our higher self. When the higher self becomes the communication center, that's when things get really clear, because you begin to understand your history, your karma, and then what is potentially available for you.
Makes sense. I'll accept that answer. Thank you very much. So we got about a minute to go here. With that being said, how do we still know whether we're having a positive or negative experience?
That's a really amazing question. It seems like a simple question, but it's a really important one. In reality, we don't know. And here's why. Because We don't understand the extent of our engagement with these bloodlines and the history of our engagement with these bloodlines. We could be participating in something that we are currently living out in another dimension. When we have these experiences, we are accessing a fractal of ourselves that exists in the dimension of those beings. So we can have any number of history and experiences with them. And we, just like in our own life, sometimes something tragic happens, and it isn't until 5 years later that you realize, if that tragic thing didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have changed my career. I wouldn't have had a child.
Geraldine Orozco, we have her till the top of the hour. Audience questions next on Spaced Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we're clear.
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome.
It's all good. It's all good. Trying to loosen up my neck. It ain't working.
Wow, a lot of tension, huh?
Yeah.
Do you try to do stretching, some little stretching around there?
Yeah. I try to.
That can help a lot. It can help a lot.
If any of my Reikiists in my chat room are there, please hit my neck
Exactly.
and shoulders, please.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's work with
goodness.
the energy.
Uh-huh.
We should bring energy to you for sure.
Right up. It's like from back of my neck, like right up to my temples.
I see it. Yeah.
Ryan, it's been like that since today. Just had a tough day today mentally. So how's the shoe collection?
It's getting smaller and smaller every day, Dave. I'm minimizing now, big time. I am.
So what are you down to? About 180 pairs now?
No, I'm down to like 15. How's that? Don't laugh. I'm serious.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I do. Yeah, 15 pairs. At least those are the ones I'm only using. I mean, I only use really like one or two on
Only the ones you were using is 15 pairs. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. What should I pick on you about? What do you collect over there? Let's see. What do you have over there? Guitars? What are your guitars that you put over there?
I've downstairs my guitars. Let's see here. What can you bug me about?
Yes. What can I pick on you about? Why do you have a Bigfoot over there? Maybe Bigfoot. Stop.
Oh, I don't know. I'm boring. I am.
No, you're not.
Dude, after the stuff you pulled out of me when I was regressed by you, that's about as interesting as it gets for me.
Okay, guy with the vortex in his football-sized portal.
Right? Oh my god.
That's funny.
Yep. Sweet Tony D, good morning to you in the UK. Cat Chaser, how are you? Thank you for the lovely super chat. Cat Chaser's awesome. Oh, let's see here. What do I collect? I have a little bit of a lot of things, but I wouldn't say I'm a collector.
Yeah.
Like, I don't collect alien heads or Bigfoot stuff or anything. If I see it, I just get it. But I'm not a collector by anything.
Yeah.
I do collect bottles of hot sauce. That's true.
Bottles of hot. Okay, how many do you have of those?
Right now, I think I got about 21 open in my fridge and about another
21?
yeah, about there. And I got about another 22 bottles that I haven't opened yet.
Where do you put the rest? What do you eat it with? Or what do you
Everything.
accompany with the hot sauce?
Everything. And I collect beards too. Darina,
Beer?
how are you? I have 6 different beards in my office from listeners.
Oh my gosh, that's weird.
Yeah. So there you go. Thank you, Richard, Debaruni, Lee ×2, Boo the Beagle, and Cat Chaser for the super chats. And we'll get going here in like 2 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest, Geraldine Orozco, the Spiritual You, will be here momentarily. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to YouTube at every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. We have her till the top of the hour. Geraldine's website, GeraldineOrozco.com. And Geraldine, we're going to get right to audience questions as we go on here, starting with D. Cypher. Are visions happening because we are accessing the Theta Consciousness while in an alpha state? Oh, I got you on mute. 1 second. There, or you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Well, that might be one state, but in reality, we move through many different states in order to, in a way, shift the collective frequency of the body and tune into that. We're also secreting different chemicals simultaneously that help us move into these higher dimensions. So this is one state, it's one formulation, but there are many levels, even deeper than that. Gamma state, there are many deeper combinations, and the brain is constantly firing and changing their frequencies in which it's moving in. So it's a little more complex than that. But essentially, when we practice meditation for a long time, we grow gray matter in the brain. The amygdala is also regulated in a way that allows us to move in and out of the body. We go into a higher frequency rate to leave the body. So yes, this is one, but there are many other combinations.
Let's go over to Sierra. I don't believe humans are naturally warlike because veterans get PTSD and get damaged. How do we stop fighting when there are dark forces such as narcissists and sociopaths? We defend ourselves.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about this is that everything that exists in this construct is a reflection of something, a seed of that which we have in ourselves. And I know that this sounds kind of weird at first, but it's very profound. And I see this every single day when I'm working with my clients. Anything that we judge, whatever it is that triggers us from what we're judging, is something that we have not fully integrated or maybe even recognized in our own self. So that is the first step. Once you begin to look at that, you will understand how our fear, insecurity, self-hate, self-rejection, self-doubt are the foundation. It's the foundation for this warlike behavior. Injustice in the world, um, separation. So the more we understand ourselves and where our fears come from and what those fears drive us to do, you will be surprised at the lengths that an insecure person would go to have some level of security. Okay, so those are sometimes the people that are capable of doing anything regardless of the sensitivity of another human in order to win. And that's where we have these narcissists and psychopaths. Essentially, we don't want to generalize that, because we all have a little tiny bit of those narcissistic parts. We have a little bit of that psychopathic elements in our subconscious mind, and we've all touched them at least once in our life. So we need to address that first. When the human begins to understand how to get to those parts and how to change back to a higher octave of that, so become altruistic, become compassionate, become sensitized to our true emotions, to authenticity, to other people's suffering. Because believe it or not, we are contributing to other people's suffering in ways that we have yet to recognize and understand. And when we do, this world will change, because where we put our money is going to change. I mean, even the food that we're eating is picked by workers in the fields. The clothes that we're wearing are sewn by little kids in different countries. So to really clear out the suffering in this world, we have to take absolute responsibility and accountability for that in our participation. That's when this world is really going to change. And if each one of us does at least a little bit in that department, those departments, we begin to change the world in a grander scale. That's how we change. It's not so much about defense, because defense means we separate ourselves from something. In fact, we want to unify. We want to integrate that shadow into ourselves rather than separate from it.
Let's go to Kimberly, who is asking, how many dimensions are out there?
There are infinite number of dimensions, and there are, on the quantum level, dimensions, and in massive scales there are also higher dimensions, so lower dimensions as there are higher. So the human body is mainly run by 13 main dimensional layers. Dimensional layers are the spheres in which we are interacting with and in which our consciousness is moving through experientially. So, but we can go higher than that. And a lot of people do, remember those aspects of themselves.
And scientists are actually looking into try and figure out how many dimensions are actually out there, because it's becoming one of the major investigative theories in theoretical physics.
That's right. Well, they say that they secured 11 dimensions. They say for sure there are 11 dimensions, but I can't wait for them to see more. Yeah.
I still get weirded out to think that if we're running all of these multi-dimensions at the same time, that there are different ones of us.
Exactly.
I don't even know how to put that in proper English.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the fractals of ourselves. That's the fractal nature of this universe. I mean, I think those that connect to the realm understand that intuitively, but now we are going to have the science to help us understand that. And I think it's through the morphogenetic field that we're really going to begin to understand that as well.
Excellent. Let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Flippy. Do you practice QAHT? I am a first wave volunteer who is yet to be regressed. Very anxious to do so.
Awesome. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, but I have studied 5 different modalities of hypnotherapy. QHHT is similar to the kinds of hypnotherapy that I practice, but my therapy is very intuitive, and because I see what you're seeing, it can help me guide you in this, in what you're navigating. And I do formulate it in a question type session. So you submit questions to me and we answer those questions from your higher self. So yeah, I have many different kinds of hypnotherapy types that I practice. And this modality is similar to the kind that I do. So if you need that, definitely reach out to me.
Is there anything or anyone experiencing anything that you would not recommend for regression?
Experience. Well, if you are schizophrenic, like diagnosed schizophrenic, um, there would have to be a little bit of training before doing hypnotherapy. Mentally, we would have to ground you back into your body a little bit more, because I've seen cases where people that do have schizophrenia have a really hard time already coming into their body because they're moving into many dimensions at once. And there's also chemical imbalances, like severe chemical imbalances that we're dealing with in our world today, where people do need to take certain medications for that. Otherwise, it becomes very violent, or, so there's a very deep support that has to happen there. And hypnotherapy is not really suggested for that kind of issues. It's like psychiatric, very, very severe psychiatric situations have to be handled carefully and with a lot of different procedures, different processes. Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Jennifer. Hi, Geraldine. Often my dreams are so intense that I wake up tired and drained. What can I do to remedy this?
Yeah, amazing. I would suggest learning how to work with your energetic hygiene. As I mentioned, when we practice lucidity in your dream state, you can kind of be more in control of your own life force. So that means your energy source in your dream state. A lot of times, when we don't know how to ground in waking state, we're often drained by people in waking state. So parasitic people will come, like vampires will come, talk to you, drain your energy, or maybe we will engage too much in the interactions of the world. Our energy is drained by the end of the day. So this exact same model translates into your dream state. So ground yourself. I want you to imagine that you have a bubble around your body, or a sphere made out of something super impenetrable. You're going to learn how to own your space. Everything in that sphere is what you can control. You have to practice that every moment of your day until it becomes such a habit that it goes into your dream state, and it will. So practice 30 days, it will already go into your dream state. And this will help you recognize what belongs to you and what doesn't. And it'll also help you practice present and grounding in this moment. Okay, so that's one tip, but check out my YouTube channel because I have a lot of videos on that you can check out. Okay, that's Geraldine Orozco.
Make sure you hit subscribe and ring that bell.
Okay.
Derek is asking, Geraldine, have you heard of people's blood type changing after an alien abduction?
No, I haven't heard of this, but I have heard of other kinds of mutations as a result of this very complex topic that you're bringing up, which has to do with our starseed lineages and the hybridization program in the bigger picture. Okay, so for example, when a mother is an Rh negative or the baby's an Rh negative, and then there's a conflict with that, that is a mutation that happens, and it's something that it's an anomaly that happens, seemingly it's an anomaly that happens in the ancestral lineage. So our blood type is actually a code for certain information. It's certain archetypal information that we hold as a vibrational frequency. And usually it pertains to where we were born, the countries that we're born in, the languages that we speak, the culture that was more prominent in our subconscious psyche, all participate in our karmic agreements for this lifetime. So that's connected to your blood type, and it's connected to also the ancestral lineages that you have. So what I do know is that a lot of times when you realize the connection between the strong archetypes that you're cycling in your ancestral lineage and your blood type, you can clear that up. And it's interesting that your descendants will not take on that trauma in the next generation. So it changes in a way. I do also see that there will be more blood type mutations in the future as we experiment with DNA sequencing. I do see that, and that is speaking to the vibrational frequency change that the humanity is going to be going through. So we'll pay attention to that. Yeah.
Moving on, let's go to Deb here. Geraldine, do you draw any of your belief system from the Bible?
No. Not that I can think of, no. I mean, I was raised in, I went to private school, to Catholic private school, when I, was a child, and also in sophomore, junior year. But I was mostly raised, my parents studied Gnosticism. So my family was Gnostic, and we practiced a lot of those Gnostic things, and then from there experienced many other religions with my parents. We studied, Zen, Buddhism, Hinduism. I mean, across the board. So I grew up learning about many, many religions, and also practicing some of these ideals until finally selecting my path. And what I discovered is that no complete truth did I find in any of those religions. No complete truth. It was always incomplete truths, unless you go really deep into the core roots of the doctrines, the ancient doctrines that seeded a lot of these religions, right? So a lot of these religions were kind of changed. The original text, the original books were, revisited, revised in a way that would remove extremely important information about humanity and how our human body functions spiritually. So I think that was a disservice to humanity, and we're kind of correcting that, and that will self-correct as a lot of these organized religions are going to kind of change in the next few years. So yeah, I do relate to Christ consciousness, Christic consciousness, as an understanding, and Jesus as being an example of our highest potential bloodline expression. But that's a complex topic, but I'll leave the answer there.
All right, we got 8 minutes. We got a ton of questions here for you, so we're going to try and jam a lot of these in. All right, and let's go to Kaysen here. Geraldine, what's your opinion on Buddhist concept of anatta, or no self?
Yeah, I really love that concept, I guess, as in terms of the integration of the ego. And the way I try to teach this essentially is that we see ourselves as not the physical, and not to be attached or identified with what we think we are, perception of what we are, a definition of what we are, the physicality of ourselves, or align with or attach or identify with anything that we experience. I do believe organically, biologically, that attachments become deaths and limitations for the human. I do see that very strongly. Anytime that we attach and identify with any one concept, any doctrine, any idea, we can limit ourselves from our expansion. And when I see the human flourishing the most is when they are most in the 0 point, detaching as most as possible from all identities in order to kind of dissolve and work with the ego as a navigation tool for any infinite potential to be experienced. So I kind of navigate that in that way.
All right, let's go to MJ. In your experiences, have you ever run into anybody that has the aliens mixed up their DNA with your DNA and injected them back to you as a parting gift? What were the end results for that person?
I have not. Let me see if I have seen something like that. Well, I mean, in the hybridization program, I mean, that's exactly what's happening, but it's not necessarily injecting rather than inseminating, with a zygote that is, a union of two different bloodlines. And so this creation process is happening interdimensionally. Okay, we see it as a very sexual thing, as a very organic thing, but our perception of sex is also quite skewed and quite limited, and we're kind of miseducated in understanding what sex is, human sex, sexuality. So this is something that, you know, we are also kind of maturing into understanding. But that's from the perspective of the hybridization program, not as an injection in terms of DNA. Gene editing, DNA editing, yes. Splicing, yes. Cloning, yes. But not specifically in this way. But yeah, if you want to talk about that, please do reach out. Maybe we can find out some more about that.
Perfect. Let's go over to Ozzy Ange, who is asking, Geraldine, in your opinion, can we manifest negativity through watching and being around negativity?
Hi, Angie. Yes, it's an amazing question. So it's not so much about being around negativity and watching negativity as much as it's about your response to what you're watching and experiencing. If your body is in a constant state of contraction and you are in a constant state of stress and resistance to the negativity that you're watching or being around, yeah, that's going to make some major creative choices, because your resistance is really strong and it creates a ripple effect. Psychologically, that resistance is coming from subconscious belief systems of personal power, lack of personal power, lack of personal control, lack of personal boundaries, lack of autonomy, lack of free will. And that is the inversion of nature. It's the inversion of what is true. So actually, we need to come back to what is in harmony, which is the truth, is that you are 100% in control of yourself and that you can decide what affects you. And essentially, you decide how you respond to things. That's what it really means to be in right order or in harmony with natural order. And that's when we come into free will. So yeah, in my opinion, we want to cultivate that understanding and cultivate that awareness.
All right, moving on to the next one. Let's go to Luna, as we got about 3 minutes here. Do you practice I am manifestation techniques? One thing not mentioned in those words is that those words killed Jesus Christ. When Roman soldiers looked for him, asked if he was Jesus Christ, he replied with, I am.
Yeah, so I think that that's also a metaphor for the physical death, right? Because the Romans representing the physical realm, the physical world, and Jesus representing the I am, which is the infinite, impenetrable, non-destructible, infinite self. The all, you know. So I think that we need, when we think of these stories, when we hear these stories, we need to really understand the symbolism behind that. The symbolism behind is extremely profound. And essentially, it's helping us. It's like a code that helps us remember an understanding, a much deeper understanding. The I am, as I don't practice them as repeating that, I practice it as an embodiment, which means I am the all. I am not just the physical. I am a multidimensional being, and I choose my experience in every moment. And that's the application of free will, which was what Jesus was giving an example. He was the example of unconditional love. What happens when you embody the 0 point is that love emerges. And actually, love can really only emerge from that place, because it is a pure, divine essence of complete truth. So that's kind of what we want to embody. And from that point, nothing can harm you. And I think that that's an interesting way to look at this, this story, this historical story.
Okay, I think we have time for one quick one here, and this will be from Trebor. I recently heard someone refer to an autistic child saying they didn't realize they had a body. Does this relate to grounding?
That's amazing. I also want to give a shout out to Telepathic Tapes. It's a YouTube channel about a woman that works with autistic children that can speak telepathically. But essentially, what that is telling us is that autistic children are working extremely consciously in interdimensional access. They have interdimensional access. Their communication is interdimensional. They are psychic, and they are able to, process information in that way. So, Dave, what can I see that question again, if that's possible?
Where is it?
Sorry.
I've accidentally juiced it.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
We only have about 10 seconds left here.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to, you know what? Next time you're on next month, let's get into telepathy and the telepathic tapes.
Yes.
Because
Let's do
there
that.
are
So
such
exciting.
mind-blowing experiences with that. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We'll talk to Geraldine in February. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller and Sweet Robbie G joins me for hour 3. This is Spaced Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we're clear. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care. All right, I'll be right back, everybody. All right. Good old Sweetness is here. Let's take a look at this beautiful, handsome man here. There he is. Got to unmute yourself there, Robbie.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Got you now.
Right.
I just teleported in.
I see.
Mm-hmm. The chair does not have free will because my ass is in it. Uh-huh. All right. Wow. We got about a minute. Thank you to Ozzy Ange, the awesome cat chaser. Major Lee ×2, Boo the Beagle, Deborah Rooney, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support, everybody. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Go and pick out your Friends Do Not Let Friends UAP shirt right now. I got mine on. I just got it yesterday in the mail. Flat 6, how you doing? Good to see you. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube. Friends Don't Let Friends UAP. That's what it is. All right. We're going to get going here in just a couple of seconds here. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Swamp Dweller right around the corner. Same as Sweet Robbie G. My name is Dave Scott. And it's a great show tonight. If you missed it all or portions of it, make sure you check out our archives. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Osvogel. Osvogel is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets its password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Red River Gorge is a beautiful, huge park full of wildlife, rock climbing, waterfalls, dense forest, gorges, and stunning views. This place feels genuinely isolated and disconnected from the rest of the world. One fall evening, my boyfriend Dee and I decided to go camping at the gorge. We found a campsite that was pretty close to the river. The sites were pretty spread far from each other as it was, but we made sure to get extra far. Our site was on the edge of a steep drop-off. We arrived at sunset.
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. Let's just get to that again. My apologies.
Red River Gorge is a beautiful, huge park full of wildlife, rock climbing, waterfalls, dense forest, gorges, and stunning views. This place feels genuinely isolated and disconnected from the rest of the world. One fall evening, my boyfriend Dee and I decided to go camping at the gorge. We found a campsite that was pretty close to the river. The sites were pretty spread far from each other as it was, but we made sure to get extra far. Our site was on the edge of a steep drop-off. We arrived at sunset and quickly set up camp. By the time we were fully set up, the sun had set, and we began to make a fire. About 20 minutes into the relaxing by the fire, we heard howling that did not sound too far away. We were both freaked out by the realization of wolves being nearby, but we tried to not overreact and to continue to sit by the fire calmly. 10 minutes later, I heard a faint yelling from about 15 feet away, past the edge that we were sitting by. I told Dee to be quiet and listen, and we both froze out of fear. We could hear a woman screaming. It was hard to hear at first because of the river, but at one point, I couldn't make out any words, but it was like a resounding guttural shriek, a noise I had never heard another person make in my life. Then I heard it. She was screaming, "Help me! Somebody please help me! Oh my God, someone please help me!" and repeating this repeatedly, howling at the top of their lungs. I was terrified. She could have been turned around in the dark and fallen off the cliff into the water. She could have been attacked by the wolves, a bear, or bitten by a snake. We both sprinted to my car, frantically climbed inside and locked the doors. I tried calling the police, but I had no service. I threw the car in reverse and sped down the dirt road to find anyone that could help, and the shrieks continued the entire time. I didn't make it far before coming across a group of 3 young men standing on the edge of the forest. I slowed down and cracked my window, still hearing the woman begging for help, and asked the men if they listened to it. How could they not hear it? I told them I heard a woman crying for us in the forest, and 2 of them sprinted into the darkness without even questioning me any further. The other one just stood by my car, assuring me he had no idea of what was happening. While the other 2 men were in the forest, I drove farther down the road until I found a spot to turn around. When I came back, the screaming had stopped, and the men were back by the side of the road. I slowed down and asked them where the woman was, and one of the men that had run into the woods answered, "Don't worry, it's funny. It was just a little kid at a campsite further down the trail. He was having a nightmare." I just said okay and drove away as quickly as possible. We left the campsite and went straight home. Once out of the woods, we called the local police station multiple times with no answer. I know it was not a child. I have never heard such a primal, fearful scream in my life. It makes my skin crawl and my heart race to think about it. What did those men get away with that night? What was I witness to? Hello, Swamp Dweller. My name is Alex, and I was born and raised in Iowa. I'm 36 years old, and I love your channel. Now, as for my story, I can't even call it my story per se. I'd be surprised if no one else has submitted this locally well-known legend, if you will, about Matsell Bridge. It is in rural Lynn County, Iowa, about 15-minute drive down some back gravel roads from where I live. It is prevalent and well-known. It's been told over many generations. There is, allegedly, a haunting at this bridge. Sounds stupid, I know, but it's just a very well-known story. No matter who tells it, or what age or social status, it is always told the same way with the exact details. No joke. I'm never into this type of stuff, yet it intrigues me due to my own experience. The creepy legend of this old metal bridge that spans the Wapsiminnican River. Legend says, if you stop your vehicle on it, no matter the direction you are driving, something pushes your vehicle the rest of the way across until you are wholly and safely across. Allegedly due to a school bus that was supposed to have crashed or gone off said bridge into the river many years ago. The bridge is 100 years old. It's an old-school, lane-style metal frame bridge that only exists in the Iowa gravel boonies, as we call it. I always called BS on these stories. It's not even scary, until you live it firsthand. It was a snowy Iowa winter's night, black only interrupted by the snow itself, but it was not windy out this night. We stopped my 2001 Pontiac Sunfire and turned off the engine. In the cold, silent night, I kid you not, an invisible entity pushed us slowly across the bridge. I say go because my girlfriend Megan, nor my best friend Floyd, exited my car. I say ghost because my girlfriend Megan, nor my best friend Floyd, exited the car. Yet when we left miles down the road due to us freaking out, there were child-sized handprints all over my car's back window, bumper, and tailgates. They were all different sizes but small enough to be children's handprints, pushing my car. I don't know how to describe this other than, well, I can't. But I would like to thank these good kids for looking out for our safety, as that's why they do this. So other bridge crossers don't meet a fate like they suffered on that same bridge. A strange local myth, but as a sane 36-year-old man with a family, I'm telling you, it's 100% true. and cool in my opinion. I hope you find this worth sharing with the swamp as it is. Thanks, Swamp Dweller. Keep informing people and keep the people safe.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller tonight for another pair of spooky stories. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Give it a go. There's literally thousands of stories there for you to choose from. All right. No Robin Haynes tonight because she is out. She's on the DL with strep throat. Jackie Harmon was going to fill in. However, she lost her power due to those excruciating fires that are taking over the LA area. And so, stepping in from our after hours show, we have Sweet Robbie G. Now, I know I played Robin's music for you, but you know what I love about that?
What is that?
When I cut that piece of audio up as her intro, if you listen in the background of it, out behind the music, I put audio in there from the Sierra sounds of Bigfoot talking, my man.
Yep.
That.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Man, I was there when you made it.
I know. Man, that, you know what? I got to tell you, when we shut down the show for 2 weeks there to do a bunch of behind the scenes stuff and get our YouTube channel and everything back in order to where it was, because you kind of just let things go at times. It's like growing your hair out. You forget to get a haircut. That's what we did. We got a haircut. I got to tell you, Rob, those 2 weeks that you and I literally were sitting here from about 8 o'clock at night to about midnight, 1 a.m. every night, working on projects and audio and YouTube and everything. That was some of the funnest times I had last year, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was work, but it was, when you know what the goal is, then you're inspired to do the work and to get the work done. We did that. We had a lot of fun doing it for sure.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Hopefully this year we won't need to take a 2-week break, but, we'll go right through. But I definitely know that I'll be taking holidays, and I know you're going to take some time off in 2025 as well. So we're going to do things a little bit differently here than we normally do on the Cryptid Report. I'm going to read something from Creepy Acres here momentarily, because today is actually an anniversary of sorts in today's creepy history. And, I've never talked to the guys at Creepy Acres. I want to get them on this show because they dig up some weird stuff, man. Totally weird stuff. So I'm going to give them full credit for this. But we want to talk weird monsters here tonight.
Okay.
So if you have any questions whatsoever, if you're in our YouTube chat, our Twitter chat, or rather X chat on Twitch, put them in capital letters. We will get to them tonight because let's just have some fun here, man. So Here's a story from Creepy Acres, and I suggest you follow them on Facebook because they're pretty incredible. Today is the 49th anniversary of a weird animal incident in Brownsville, Texas. So on this date in 1976, it was around 8:30 p.m. Alvarico Guayardo, he was 35 years old at the time. He was sitting down in his kitchen eating dinner when suddenly he heard this big crash and bang against the outside of his trailer home. So, not knowing what it was, he grabbed a knife from the kitchen. He raced outside to investigate, and when he looked around the corner, right there he found a large animal lying on the ground next to his home. But in the dark, he wasn't able to really identify it. So He pulled up his station wagon around to the south side of his home and illuminated this creature with his headlights. Well, the headlights caught the attention of this dazed and confused creature, and it stood up. Standing before him was a 4-foot tall, brown, winged creature with a thin 3 to 4 foot long beak and a big, terrible looking eyes. Some reports claimed it had a face resembling an ape or a bat. The creature turns to stare at Gallardo and begins to make deep pulsating sounds. After a few moments, the winged nightmare backed away from the headlights and melted away into the darkness. Gallardo told reporters, "I was scared. It's got wings like a bird, but it wasn't a bird. That animal was not from this world." Now, the image that they give of this almost looks like a vulture with a really evil shaped head. Man, what do you think about that, Robbie?
Yeah, and I just talked about this with Josh Rutledge a few weeks ago, and I don't know. We came to a theory that maybe what's happening is that some people have the ability to maybe see into this next dimension. So potentially these things aren't coming here to us, but maybe we're, select individuals have an ability to kind of, for a brief period of time, either see into that next dimension or to see, beings that may have cloaked themselves in our own dimension. So we kind of jump down that rabbit hole, and, I believe a lot of that stuff is definitely here. I mean, why not? Too many people say that they see these weird things, and so I'm on board.
You know what? I agree with you on that, Rob, because I often thought, and you and I have discussed the Thunderbird on this, because a 40-foot bird that large, if it were real and in our dimension, dude, the bird droppings on that would paint a car.
Right.
Okay. It would paint trees. The nest that it would create would be massive. Absolutely massive. Like literally the size of a house. Maybe a small house, but a house nonetheless. And we don't find those. And I think when people look and see the Thunderbird, I think that they are actually looking into another dimension as well. So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It really does seem to make a lot of sense as a theory. Now, with this creature, though, here's the one thing that interests me about it. Jonathan Whitcomb, who lives in Texas, he has often stated that there is a giant triangle between Texas, New Zealand, and northern British Columbia, where pterodactyls fly. They call them the ropin. And apparently, these ropin make that guttural sound, number one. But number two, they have almost like a light in their chest, like a red dotted light in their chest when they are flying.
Mm-hmm.
And I often wonder, in hearing this story, did this guy maybe see some sort of pterosaur that could be still around? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because you have a lot of people that go out in the woods. There's people who go out in the woods often who've never seen anything, who will tell you they've never seen a single thing, and they're in the woods all the time. That, when you go down a logical thought path, and you have to take the experiencers' accounts as valid, and so you just listen to a bunch of different experiences, you compare them against each other. And I think I've talked to people who have told me experiences, and just the look on their face as they're telling the story lets me know that they saw what they saw. But because we don't have any physical proof in this world, it just leans, it just makes me feel like either these things are stepping in and out of dimensions, or we're seeing into their dimension, or maybe it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? But I believe people are seeing these things, but I just don't feel like they're here. They live in this present world that we live in.
Yeah, and you know what? That could very well be. It could very well be. And I don't know, Rob. You know, because when you look at the weird, strange creatures that have been seen in Texas, whether it's the pterodactyls, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's chupacabra in the south, up north, people have reported seeing like mini velociraptors running around, mini T-Rexes running around. I mean, things that shouldn't exist. It does make me wonder what is going on with all of this, because it's very, very interesting that these eyewitness accounts of these are even getting to the public. And I would really like to know more about this.
Think about this.
Running around the British Columbia forest and all of a sudden seeing a pterodactyl or a little mini T-Rex or raptor running around. That would scare the hell out of me.
Definitely. And here's what I say. Think about this. Whenever I try to approach something to, have this conversation with the skeptic or someone who needs a little coaxing in order to at least start going down the thought path, is I always point out, and this could be the root to cryptids in all the cryptid stories, and it may be actually an explanation for what I'm about to say as well, which is this very planet that we walk on, there used to be 60-foot lizards walking on this earth. We have proof of bones. We have bones. We have footprints. One day they all disappeared, apparently, or most of them did. Some of them still live on. We know alligators and things like that. But it just, did they all disappear, or did they all step into that next dimension where all these other things exist? Because then that would make sense. If someone were to report a pterodactyl sighting, maybe it's the bleed over into that other dimension. We know for sure these things walked on this planet, whether in this dimension or another. We don't know if we ever coexisted with them side by side, but we know that their presence was here. And I think if they could have been here, then it just opens the door up for any other strange, weird creature that just shouldn't be. And, I think maybe the asteroid didn't kill them off. Maybe they stepped into that side dimension where Sasquatch and all these other cryptids live, and they all live there. And if we could put on some glasses, we might be able to see, all those living things. It obviously is a theory. It sounds way off, but when you just at least look at dinosaurs and the fact that they've been here, then everything else for me is possible.
Well, if you take what Geraldine Orozco said, and many others have stated, is that we are living in a multiverse, which means that the dimension theory that you're talking about right now is actually quite plausible. That we are able to get glimpses into other dimensions and other frequencies where maybe these creatures are alive on a different plane. And maybe what we're doing is we're actually seeing them on that plane. Now, maybe some of them have snuck over to this side. We don't know. We don't know how these dimensions seem to work. But I mean, if these multiverse creatures are out there, then we are able to really maybe understand what we are seeing on a linear timeline, but just in a different dimension. I really don't know. Rob, I'm going to let's pick this up when we return, because this is a real interesting topic
Yeah.
that we are talking about. Sweet Robbie G is here tonight, filling in for Jackie Harmon, who was filling in for Robin James. Yeah, that was fun. Spaced Out Radio continues in the final half hour. This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott. All right, we're clear. So, Rob, I figured out Spreaker.
Oh, you did? Is it okay? Fill me
Yeah.
in.
So you go into the studio, bring up your studio, and you record it offline.
Oh, I've done that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So once you record it offline,
You
then
upload
what
it.
you can do is you can move it over to, you have everything that you did at first, you now have to do on the back end in building the show. And then you just publish it.
What do you mean everything you do on the back end?
You know how if you brought it up live, you'd put the title, the picture, and then the description.
Yes. Yeah.
You now have to do that afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I uploaded the Saturday show up there and figured that out. Because I heard you on Friday, and I don't know, did you make a mistake on Friday?
No, I didn't understand it. No, Friday I didn't edit. I didn't edit on Friday.
Okay.
Because I think that show on Sunday, I was just too tired.
Because when I went through it, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to upload it before I leave the office. So I stopped the show, and then I realized you have to hit stop again to close it out completely. Then you can upload it. So I was sitting there figuring that out for a few minutes, but I got it. And it doesn't really make a difference, really. You know, it's the same workflow. It's just it doesn't broadcast live on Spreaker at the moment. That's all.
Yeah. Well, Spreaker doesn't have a live format anymore.
Yeah, I'm assuming that happened at the new year. I think that's when they discontinued it.
Don't like it. Don't like it a bit.
But I don't think the live, well, I don't know what the numbers were on the live. That's maybe a thing. But I think as long as we can get it there, it still gets the distribution to the other platforms, and we still get that. I think the key is getting that the crystal clear audio for radio.
Yes.
Because I think people don't realize the difference there. I would love for some of the people here to actually listen to the radio broadcast of the show, because then you can see, why we're doing what we do, for one.
Oh, it's tight.
But the quality is so great there. Like people complain on the YouTube side about the audio being too loud, or it kind of drowning out the person that's talking. But those defects don't happen on the radio side. It's crystal clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. By the way, I just got to give a shout out to Moody Mogul. The comment, Dave, the multiversal lover, that one got me. I'm not sure if you saw me snicker or not and kind of stutter there. That was because of you. Dude has been chirping me all night long, like for the last week and a half. And it's all in fun. It's all in fun. But man, he's chirping me hard right now, man.
Shout out to Moody.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Robin. You said she had strep throat. I'm just getting over that, man. I did the show this weekend with strep throat and barely got through the show. But it's that season, man. It's that season.
Mm-hmm. Lunico, yes, I've had Alan Greenfield on a few times. If you go back in the archives, they're there. Had some strange experiences with Alan. And if you remind me after the show, I will give you a real strange experience that I had with Alan. And Hillbilly Herb, that's right, fucking Shorzy. God, I love Shorzy. Shorzy, if you're listening to this, or anybody from Shorzy, God bless you guys. Absolutely love you guys. Oh, I love that show. I need season 4. I need a fix. I watched seasons 1, 2, and 3 just the other day again.
What series?
It's called Shorzy. You wouldn't like it. It's about hockey.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I'm good.
Good Canadian.
The only time I reference hockey is when I say HE double hockey sticks.
Well, we'll change that. Shorzy is a TV show on Crave, or I think it's on Amazon or Netflix as well. Big thank you to Richard, Debaruni ×2, Major Lee ×2, Boo the Beagle, Awesome Cat Chaser, and Aussie Ange. DH, you were on Shorzy? Were you really? Oh, fill me in on that. I can't comment for another half hour, though. Three seconds. Here we go. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Sweet Robbie G is here. He's believing that there are multi-millions of little Robbie G's swinging on around the other dimensions. You're big time on this, Rob.
I like to be logical about it. And I want to take, like I said, the experiencers at face value. I know some experiencers are out there lying. Let's not hold that back. There definitely are a group of people that are doing that. But I've talked to and looked people in the face multiple times. And there's been multiple times where this person, it just comes across that this person is telling the honest truth. And then when you get that, and like I said before, dinosaurs were here at some point. We have evidence. That is just mind-blowing on its face. 60-foot lizards, period. But we have proof of it. So why not these other things? And the only thing that makes sense is because we can't get the physical evidence that we want, that people want to see, that they have to be slipping in and out of some dimension. Sir Brian Bowden had the theory of maybe the dimensional, fabric had been opened up. I think back in the 60s with the Hardon collider or whatever it's called. I think you know what I'm talking about.
The Hadron Collider?
Yes. He says he thinks that tore the fabric open, and essentially that might be why the whole Mandela effect, and then maybe the reason why we're seeing things stepping in and out of a dimension, because we opened it up at some point in time. That was a theory he threw out there. I thought it sounded okay.
I thought it sounded okay too. Yeah, I don't know how I would react all of a sudden seeing one of these strange, weird creatures, maybe 17 eyeballs, 6 arms, 2 legs, and a long lizard-like tail running around. I don't know how I'd react to something like that. I mean, it makes me think of Monsters, Inc. Every time I open up my closet, I'm wondering if there's going to be a monster in there yelling, boo, By the way, one of the greatest movies ever, honestly. That one doesn't bring you tug on the old heartstrings. I don't know what will.
It's cool. It's a cool movie.
What's better, Monsters, Inc. or Toy Story series?
The Toy Story series. Come on. What? But you know what was better than Monsters Inc. and probably inspired by was what's the guy's name? Howie Mandel. Little Monsters. I think it was Little Monsters. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Come
one.
on, guys. Everybody remembers Little Monsters from I think it's from the 80s. Is where he plays the monster and only the kid can see him. Little Monsters. Come on, guys. You got to look it up. When you look it up, you'll be like, oh, that movie.
I don't remember that one. Don't remember that one.
Yep, Under the Bed. Exactly.
Awesome. I would, just for the record, I would go Toy Story.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Monsters Inc., but Monsters Inc.'s a strong 1A for me.
Yeah, it's okay.
Is there anything sadder, though, than Andy giving away his toys? Did we really need that, watching Andy grow up like that? Oh, just hits me.
Yeah, I have the whole series on DVD, so I'm pretty set there. I think it's 1 through 4.
All right, I got something else here for you. Let's get to it. On January 4th, 1991, in Lake Aikida, Ibusuki, Kagoshima, Japan, Mr. Hideki Tomiyasu. Oh, I love saying Japanese names. Hideki Tomiyasu and his teenage son filmed a massive creature moving through Lake Aikida. For nearly 9 minutes, they recorded the 10-meter-long dark-colored behemoth before an approaching motorboat caused the beast to submerge. Although sightings of Izzy, Lake Aikida's monster, had been reported for 13 years prior, this would be the first time it was filmed. No rivers flow into or out of the lake. Instead, it depends on rain to maintain its depth of 233 meters and 11 square kilometer surface area. Despite this, Lake Aikida is known for its eels, some over 6 feet in length. The old lake monsters, my man. The old lake monsters.
Yeah, they have, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what's not down there. That's the thing. If we have not explored 96% of oceans and deep lakes like that, ancient lakes, there's no telling what's down there. We always find something new every time we go down there. So why not? Why not? But I'll tell you, a lot of the sightings have been written off for things like sturgeon, a lot of prehistoric fish. But, I don't know. You just can't take it off the table. I don't think we can take anything off the table. I think that's the beautiful part of the phenomena, is that you can't take it off the table because there's so much more that we don't know than we actually do know. And so it's at least fun to entertain it.
See, with the Ogopogo in Lake Okanagan, I tend to believe that could be a sturgeon, because Lake Okanagan is known for the breeding of white sturgeon, which can grow as large as a great white shark. If you see that up on the surface, it's going to look like a prehistoric monster if you're not familiar with what a sturgeon looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what a lot of these sightings could be. I mean, when you get a 14, 15-foot sturgeon on there, which is literally the size of a male great white shark, that is massive.
Right.
You're looking at, a 1,400 pound creature.
Yeah, there's other big things down there too. The big blue catfish down south here, those are monsters, massive. And they're even bigger down in the Amazon. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's some scary stuff down there. And technically it's alien until you discover it and put it on the register. Until then, it anything that we haven't discovered yet could be considered something creepy.
See, that just freaks me out, because didn't you fish for alligator gar?
I didn't fish for it, but I caught one on an accident. Yeah, that was the scariest thing I've ever done, coming from California where we don't have those. And I moved to Oklahoma for about a year and a half, and we love fishing. So we went fishing down there. They have your classic things, your catfish or your bass. We were fishing for those, and I pulled my line in, and I had a fish with an alligator head on it. Never knew these things existed, for one. It was freaky scary. And normally you can only catch these things with steel leader lines. But I caught one on just regular test lines. So I don't even know how that happened. But I did pull it in, and it was a half alligator, half fish, which is crazy.
That is nuts. See, I've caught, the biggest fish I caught was a tiny sturgeon at 75 pounds. And another time we hooked onto a sturgeon on a friend's boat, where this thing, we never saw it. It hit our line, and it took us upriver.
Mm-hmm.
And it must have went under a log, because as it pulled the steel line that we were using, the front of our boat started to go down. And it came within about an inch of going underwater before the line broke. Thank God.
Yeah,
we cut the anchor.
Yeah.
In order to make sure we were safe.
They'll drag you for sure. There used to be this show I used to watch on Discovery Channel, I believe it was, where they used to, the whole theme of the show was they would drain the oceans of the world and show you like the landscape beneath the ocean and different things. I want to just imagine if we could do that, if we could pull the plug on the ocean and allow it to drain out, what we would see down there. It would be crazy.
Let me tell you, if you could block off part of the Fraser River and dredge it, you'd be a multi-millionaire in gold.
Oh, that too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. And you'd probably be able to open up your own fishing tackle store with all the gear that you would find. But
yeah,
literally,
you'd find those alien bases everyone's looking for. You'd find what's the huge shark?
No, this is a river. No megalodon in the river that I know
Megalodon. That's it, Megalodon.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, getting back to sea monsters, whether it's Champ, whether it's the Lake Winnipeg monster, Ogopogo, or this one in Japan, or Loch Ness, I mean, people believe that they are seeing these things. And I'm wondering, just your thoughts, are they maybe seeing something in a different dimension? I mean, yes, the person was able to film that creature back in 1991 in Japan, but do you think that maybe they were able to film into a different dimension?
Man, it depends on how, if these dimensions are literally side by side, like some are saying, whatever this fabric is that's between us and the next dimension, whatever that is, if there's an ability to see through that, maybe some of us have, maybe it's one of those abilities that we haven't awakened yet. Maybe it's something that we'll be able to do one day. I always point to things like Wi-Fi signals and things of that nature. These are things that are around us everywhere. If you were able to put on glasses to see frequencies, you would see noise everywhere. And it's just like, if we have the ability within us and it's something we have to learn to access, then maybe it is a possibility that it's something we could call upon at any given moment. And some people may have it, just like psychic ability, where others haven't figured it out yet. Maybe it's something that we could all get to at some point. But the stories there's a handful of the stories that just have to be real as far as what people are seeing. Now, where these things go after the sighting, that's kind of where we speculate, but I don't doubt that they're being seen by a group of people, and it's just, let's figure out what they are.
100%. 100%. And that's something that we do need to figure out. It's something that we need to be able to really, do to generate any more excitement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just too many things that don't make sense. Things that we know about that we can't explain and don't make sense. So it just, for me, it always leaves everything else open until you can show, proof that it's not possible. Show me a reason why it's not possible.
Very true. Lunico has a question here. If I could tell her about Alan Greenfield, the odd experiences. I'm going to sleep, Dave, but I will check up on your answer tomorrow on the upload. Alan Greenfield, who I'm trying to get back on a guest here this month because we got to talk to him. Here's one of my strange encounters with Alan. About 9-10 days before Hellier 2 came out, I had a dream that night that I had been taken. My dad was there. My buddy from high school was there. Samantha Mowat was there. And it was like on this farmhouse. And then there was, you go off in the countryside, the lanes get really, really small. And there was like this 2-lane road. And then there was a ditch, and then it went into a lake. So all of a sudden, my friend and I, and this is all in a dream, see this classic disc shape UFO fly from right to left. And then it goes left to right, and then right to left again. But when it came right to left again, behind it, way behind it, was a jet fighter. And then it came back left to right, and the jet fighter was still following it, but still at quite a distance in between. But the UFO kept moving closer and closer to us. And eventually, it came through in the water. But it seemed like the jet fighter didn't see it, and it just kind of flew by. And then the UFO came by again, turned on its side so we could see the undercarriage. And there was a giant blue stingray. One of those short-tailed stingrays, or manta, I guess stingray, but they have the short tail.
Mm-hmm.
It was giant and blue on that. Now, I had never talked to Alan Greenfield about this before. I just thought it was weird. I couldn't figure out why they had this disc shape, had this blue stingray on it. Well, imagine my surprise. I believe it's on episode 6 of Hellier 2, where they are talking about these UFOs. And Alan Greenfield, while being interviewed, starts talking about blue stingrays painted on UFOs. I just about crapped my pants when I heard that.
Yeah.
Like, how did, 10 days previous, I've never heard of this before. And then that happened.
Right. That's why experiencer data is so important, because and it's important for everyone to tell their story, because a nuance like that, maybe there's not a lot of people who have witnessed that, but for you to have done that, so you step forward, tell your story, and then it gets corroborated by someone else's story. That's the reason why I always say, everyone, don't be afraid to come out and tell your story, because it could be a detail as small as that that lines up with someone else's story and validates that for them. So that's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was weird. It was completely weird, man, seeing that happen. You know, I don't understand that one. That one tripped me out. But Alan Greenfield has a uncanny ability to bring that stuff out, to bring out the weird and strange, and it surrounds him. And, you know, this is a guy who is, if there is an expert of the occult, I would put it on Alan, the expert title. You know, the guy is brilliant. Doesn't ask for a dime for anything, but the guy is just brilliant. He's very much like the late Jordan Maxwell that way. And
yeah, I looked into him. Didn't he write a book with someone that we know that we?
Olaf Phillips, yeah.
Olaf. Okay,
Of
yep.
the Black Lodge.
Yep.
Yeah. And they were having some weird stuff happen around that. That's for sure. They were.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. Whatever it is and wherever it comes from, it's out there. And that's the whole reason why we do this. I mean, we got to get some answers. And, you know, I don't know how you get those, but we definitely, that's the purpose, is to validate that and turn them from stories into part of the record.
But it's amazing how dreams can be foreshadowing too.
In what way?
Well, take for instance, me seeing a UFO with a blue manta or blue stingray on it, and then Alan talking about it 10 days later.
If it was a dream, likely wasn't a dream.
I get that.
What I mean?
It's a dream, but it sure weirded me out that all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's Alan Greenfield talking about it. So really, was it a dream, sweet Robbie G?
And what is it? Is a dream? Does a dream mean not reality? And I think that's one of the things that we'll probably find out down the line, is that even dreams are part of a reality. Astral traveling, like I believe in those things.
Sweet Robbie G, we say goodnight to you, and hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Ball. Rocking in the background with little brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up from the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgin, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friend,
make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need to take us home. Yes, the blue train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. And away we go.
Good stuff, Davey. Good stuff.
Yeah. We got to publish this bad boy now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now people get now the tension is people, checking out my typing skills.
Yeah, which mine suck. I'm a one finger typer. I'm actually not. When I'm being lazy, I'm a one finger typer. I'm okay. Yeah, so StreamYard. So you got the notice too, huh?
What notice?
Of the raising the prices.
Oh yeah, I saw that online. I went and checked on it.
Yeah.
They got bought out by a company.
Yeah, I don't know what the company is, but yeah, they did. I think about 6 months ago, maybe a little more than that. It's I don't know maybe they have a plan down the pipeline that they haven't told anyone about as far as features that they're going to add to the program. But I got to tell you, for what they offer right now at today, I don't feel like it's worth the extra amount. I really don't. So I'm looking into some other options because my subscription comes due soon too, and it doesn't make sense to renew with them. So,
are you gonna go with River Shore or whatever it's called?
there's one that a few that I'm looking at that I'm gonna try their free plan to kind of see what the workflow is like. Riverside, I know, is one of them. Restream, I think, is another one. And I think one called EV Mux.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because my decision, I have to make a decision here within like a week. So I'll likely be testing some of that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Try to create some shows and see what.
Yeah, I have no loyalty to Spreaker. I won't go back to OBS. OBS is I can't stand OBS.
Yeah, there's something similar to OBS. It's on my other computer at the office. I'll tell you what it is, but it's very similar to OBS. But OBS is open source, so it's really buggy and it breaks a lot, and you have to go through a lot of hoops to get things working. But they have a Windows version. It's not OBS. I forget what it's called, but it essentially allows you to do the same things as OBS with your transitions and things like that. So I'm trying that out right now. It's like $350 for the year, $350 for the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, OBS is just when it works, when it works, it works. But anytime they do an update, it often breaks something, you know what I mean, that you have to end up fixing.
It was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah. And it's hard to
handle it.
It's hard to do it. It's hard to do that when you got to do live shows. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But they do have. There's one that is supported, is manufactured by one particular company. They process updates. They have full support for it, and it allows you to do essentially a lot of the same things you could do with that. And it's definitely an option I'm looking at right now. Like I said, it's $350. You just buy the program for $350, and then I think they give you updates for a year, and you can keep that and keep running with it, or you can update to the next version. But I've been doing some research, and it gives it'll give the shows more of a of its own unique sort of style and flavor versus when you see a lot of these shows using StreamYard it's like cookie cutter sort of features that everybody has. And so I'm kind of looking into that right now. So I'll let you know what I find out. But
Yeah, that would be interesting to see how that kind of plays out.
yeah, when is your renewal coming up? Is it soon?
I don't even know.
Okay.
But I'll pull, I mean, I can put a plug on it at any time, right?
Well, thing with that is that
I'm monthly. I don't pay yearly. I'm monthly.
okay.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm yearly. So if I don't change, they'll hit the debit card for the full amount on the renewal date. Yeah. So that's why I'm like really pressing it right now and figuring out another option, because they're not giving you you're not getting anything extra for that extra amount they're charging. So
no, I've been looking at a lot of the other comments of people who've been just kind of absolutely gouging or ripping StreamYard online, and it's because they literally just not providing anything outside of a cash grab, right?
that's exactly all it was. It was sad because the guys, it seemed really good. The two young guys who were the creators, they used to do these monthly streams where they would talk about the new features. It was really connecting with the community. Then they just sold it to this company who doesn't even care, and they're kind of out of there. So that's what I'm going to start doing too, is paying monthly as well on this new service, whichever one it is. Because you got to have the service to stream. That's what some people don't know. They just think you can hop on YouTube and start streaming. Like, no, there's subscriptions and all sorts of things that go into putting on shows.
Oh, yeah. Agreed, my man. Absolutely agreed.
Yep. In the market for a new camera, too. So I got some options for you, Dave. I'll tell you about, I'll send it to you offline. Some pretty cheap options.
Yeah, I'm looking at adding potentially like a 4K camera or two, because I got to get them anyways for what I'm going to be doing out at Flight 21.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, use them for the show here as well, right?
Yeah, that's where we got to call on Lee, extra small.
Yeah. Merle is a good camera guy too. Like he's found some really good deals on that. Morning, Super Ron. How you doing? God, this thing still isn't loaded. It takes forever now.
Yeah. So that's where we're at right now. Get some good stuff going. Who you got tomorrow?
Science Bob and Dr. Simeon Hine.
You see, I aired the archive with the old Dave, with Science Bob and Richard Dolan the other day. Everybody loved it. They loved that throwback show, Dave.
That was a good one. That was a good one right there. Way back in the day. Way back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, finally, you're loaded. Well, that's nice.
And Lee, you're right. Most subscribers can't stream 4K. And a lot of, it with all that compression and stuff too. A lot of these streaming plans don't even support 4K. That's another thing. There's some of these companies I'm looking at that actually do support 4K. So I know these StreamYard plans do 1080p. I don't even know if they have a 4K plan, but
my camera that I'm on right now is 1080p.
yeah, That's all your plan will support too is 1080p. So even if you had 4K,
Yeah.
it would just dumb it down to 1080p anyway.
Oh, I hear you.
So, but there's some other options, some cool ones. Now they're a little more complicated in the interface. Like StreamYard is pretty simple, but the other ones are a little more difficult depending. But you get a lot more. Yeah, 2K is plenty. That's what I'm gonna get. I'll send you a link. There's a 2K camera that they have. It's like $50. My camera, this camera I'm using right now is simply a webcam on a tablet. So if you're looking at the camera here, this is just a run-of-the-mill built-in webcam. But I'm gonna get a standalone camera for this setup, and the one I use at the office is a DSLR Canon. So who was Dave going to talk about after the show? It was an interesting experience with the past guest. Do you recall that, Dave, who you were supposed to talk about after the show?
Oh, that was the story I told right at the end of the show, which was with Alan Greenfield.
Okay.
Yeah. So why is this not downloading? Download. Finally.
Yeah.
This new way of doing things with Spreaker is absolutely horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, it as long as it does the upload, so you just can't shut it down before the upload finishes, but it actually is pretty simple. Like you said,
But it's just a pain in the ass. 24 on the freaking years instead of 25.
What are your upload speeds? Do you know?
No. She's cruising now.
As long as your upload speeds are okay.
Very much cruising.
Juliana McGill, my secret to success, I never updated and I never get apps. Yeah. But they did what they shut this down on their back end is what they did, because my app stopped working too.
Oh, it did, eh?
Yep. I thought it worked. I was getting live. It set it all up. And I went, when the show started, I went to hit record. And then it said, oh, you can't record anymore. And I was
That's
like,
exactly what happened to me, brother.
In the middle of the show.
I'm like, you.
Oh, exactly. So I had to edit in some old intro from another show. Just mind blowing. Luckily, I'm able. I know that how to do that kind of stuff because it was a mess.
Now I gotta check the sound on this because I was getting some ticking last night in my audio. See if I got that ticking today.
Or more memory, it tends to help regulate the nervous system because they begin to connect with a little bit more awareness, spatial awareness, timeline awareness of what happened to them. And then we go deeper into understanding the experience deeper. So sometimes when they want to do hypnotherapy and they want to recover the entire experience, it's usually the case. That's when we really get into the details of the experience and try to recover as much memory as we can. And hypnotherapy is a powerful tool for that.
Were people hearing that during the show?
No, that's that's on the recording.
I didn't listen back to my recording, so I have to listen back to the one I did, from Saturday to see. Maybe that's a thing. If not, we could probably figure it out.
All my levels too, because I thought maybe it was going in too high.
This happened the other day also.
Yeah.
What you could do, truthfully, is and I was going to tell you this, but Spreaker had the record option, but as long as you have any recording software, you can record the show that way. So I think Audacity is one that's out there. There's a few that you can use. As long as it'll record the audio, you don't have to use the Spreaker thing. You can always upload it afterwards.
Yeah, this is definitely on my end. I think my Behringer is crashing. It's either my Behringer or my mixing board. So I'm going to have to play around with that again. I got to get Chuck on board for that one.
You got to get that Rodecaster.
Yeah.
You get that, and a lot of the worries will be taken away.
I know. I just don't want to spend $1,000 right now.
If you look on eBay, you may find some cheap ones. A lot of people who bought the Rodecaster 2 are selling their Rodecaster 1s. So you might find a decent deal on it, $400 or $500, $400, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's worth the investment because it definitely takes care of a lot of, issues.
Yeah.
Even the mixer that I use, I think I sent you that. I can send that to you again.
I definitely remember that. So.
But if it's only clicking there yet, it would have to be.
It's definitely going into the signal.
Exactly.
So it's either Behringer or I'm going to have to figure that out. So we'll have to see.
Yep.
I don't get it, but that's okay. Don't get it. All right, people. Tomorrow night it's Science Bob and Friends. So make sure you check us on out because we always like to Science Bob it up with you people. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern is when we start. Big thank you tonight to Deborah Rooney ×2, Major Lee ×2, Ozzy Ange, the awesome cat chaser, Richard Minnick, and Boo the Beagle for the super chats. And don't forget, if you're new here, hit like, subscribe, and head to our Spaced Out Radio store where we do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So check it on out, and we will see you all tomorrow night. Good night, sweets.
Good night, man.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.